I think. Okay, now it looks good. Let me know. Wait a minute. It's like a 10 seconds delay. All righty. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, guys. So again, welcome everybody to another webinar, another lesson. We've been busy working here on the bootcamp week and giving you a lot of value, a lot of lessons to our traders. As you know, we are all about that. We've been doing this for a very long time, and the idea is just to give you more education so you can take your trading to the next level and continue to improve, as we all like to do as traders. So this is it. Today we are going to talk about data-driven decision, backtesting, forward testing. This is probably one of the hottest topics in the last 2, 3, even 4 years. And we will dive into that, try to understand what it is about, how can you take that and actually find your own niche within that and potentially make money out of that. So we're going to cover that as well. But like always on my webinars, I don't like to do it solo. So it's not going to be a monologue. Please join me and let's do it a dialogue. So I will ask you some questions along the way. Please drop them, the answers in the chat. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to write it as well. I will answer hopefully all of them. And we will wait until the end to answer everything. So no worry about that. And also we got the guys in the back that will cover and help as well. So let's start by just getting to know each other. Let me know where you come from. And of course, what are you trading? Do you like to trade stocks, futures, commodities, options, Forex? Let me know what are you trading, what do you like, and also if you're a swing trader or a day trader, it's always interesting to understand who I'm talking to, and we can also understand that and take the presentation into a different angle if I'll see some different answers, basically. So of course, most of you guys stick to your Forex, and that's great. We're going to talk about generally the back testing and the forward testing that we will cover. I will do that on the NASDAQ, on the index. But of course, you can definitely take that to any type of asset that you will choose to trade. The concept will remain the same. Of course, each market will have its own nuances, but the idea is the same on this one. So, okay, I see some Forex, some indices, gold. You cannot go wrong with gold these days. Okay, day trading, swing, I'm loving it. By the way, before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and click the bell button. So Google algorithm will sign you in and see that you're legit, basically. So click the subscribe button that you have and also the bell to get notified for next videos. Make sure you do that. All righty. Nice. We got some good vibe here today. Okay, let's dive into that, guys. So first thing first, a quick introduction. So my name is Michael Katz. I'm the CEO of Tradepool. We are an online prop firm that funds stock traders, a part of the Fivers group. And myself, I've been trading for a while now, stocks and futures for the last 17 years. Also been ahead of traders in a local prop firm before that. And now, as you understand, we are doing this on our live channel. We have a live channel that runs every Monday till Friday that we have. We are hosting. We have our host Mitch, where you can trade live with us every single day. We trade stocks mainly, but of course, for those of you who like to trade indices, you can definitely trade with us also. ETFs, we have more than 1,000 of those. So all the big names, the NASDAQ, S&P, Dow Jones, Russell 2000, gold, Bitcoin, you can trade anything with us within the ETF. So make sure you check us out as well. We have 14 days free trial to play with and understand the trading platform. Alrighty, so the first question that I have for you guys is, do you think that backtesting is the right way to go? Do you think backtesting is important for your trading? And if so, if your answer is yes, make sure to write also why do you think it's important. So not just it is important or not, but actually understanding why. That will lead us to the next move and next understanding. Okay, so let me know, guys. Do you think backtesting is good for you, important, crucial to your trading? And if so, why is that? All righty, I'm gonna sip my coffee while you're writing. Okay, the trading job, you're saying yes. To understand winning ratio. Okay, most of you are saying yes, important. Okay, I do see one interesting comment here. Tons of comments, so I like that. But the behavior, definitely, the guy that wrote the behavior is different every now and then. So that's super important, and that will get us to the next stage or the next phase we want to touch on. So basically, when you're saying yes, backtesting is important, it means that you feel or think or you saw that the market behaved the same way, right? Because you're basically saying that if I'll go back and test my results or test a strategy and it will work and prove itself, now it means that also in the future it will work as well. That's basically what it means when you're saying that. So, and that's obviously that's what we do when we use technical analysis, right? We go back to the supply area, demand area. We are looking at the history of the chart, the history of the asset, and then we realize or predict what will be the future outcome. So that makes sense. Going back and realizing what we need to do next. But, and that's the important part here, I want you to think about your trading, your trades that you made in the last few days. Let's take 5 trades that you did today or yesterday or maybe a week ago. 5, 10 trades. Think them over for a second and think if the winners, obviously you had a few winners, few losers. Think about the winners. If you're going back 5 trades, like a few days ago or a day ago, the last 5 trades, your last winner, think it over, and also try to understand, try to think about the previous, the one before it. Are both of them did the same? Did you enter at the same place? Did you take your profit at the same place? Did you manage the trade the same way? Think about your losing one as well. Are both of them were the same? You took your loss at the same place? You took the same risk, the same dollar risk? The answer is probably no, as you're already starting to write right now. And the thing about it, and that's the most important thing when it comes to backtesting, although we rely on the history, right? History repeats itself. We rely on the history to be similar to the future. But at the end of the day, it's not about the technical, it's about the psychological aspect of it, right? Meaning that 2 trades, 2 setups that's supposed to be the same will give different result at the end. Because when you click the mouse key yesterday on a good trade, and you took it, let's say morning time in Europe, you click the mouse key and took that trade, and a few hours you took another trade, your psychology wasn't really the same on both of them. And this is why the outcome will be different as well. Even if both of them will win, at the end, the mouse key, when you clicked on it, your mentality wasn't exactly the same. So once you remember that, you realize that backtesting is great, but you got to keep in mind that only when you making the decision, that will be the point or the important element that will reflect or basically, reflect the outcome of the trade, right? So this is a point that you gotta all remember, that backtesting might be great, but if you don't take into consideration the psychology within those decision making, this is where most traders will fail. They will go to a backtest, will run a strategy, will see tons of return, but at the end of the day, when they take it and start trading it, they will see a totally different game. So super important to remember that exact point. Alrighty. Now, going back, and we do want to understand why it's not working. And as I said, the psychology aspect of it will take a big chunk of that. What we want to really do is to go and understand the elements that will change your strategy, right? So for example, if you're going back and testing before really going into the programs, the platforms that give you the opportunity to run a backtest, and we'll dive into that in a second, what you want to do is actually first go to the core of it. The core of it, it means that you want to learn the price action, you want to learn supply and demand, you want to learn momentum, basically reading the chart, reading the market way before you go into depth and diving into a specific strategy. Why you want to do that is pure simple, because once you go over tons of charts and learn how to read the market behavior, now from there, you will start to recognize some patterns that repeat themselves over and over again. When you just try to focus on a strategy, let's say 20 EMA crossing up 50 EMA, right? That's a super classic one that a lot of traders start with. Once you're doing that, you basically missing the whole point of trading, and because trading is first about understanding the structure, understanding from the sentiment from a top point view, and then diving into a specific trigger, a specific setup. But if you don't understand the sentiment or the behavior of the market, you're missing 80% of the game. So at first, you just go back, you analyze the market, you read the chart, you learn momentum, you learn price action, and only then dive in, okay? Now, the way to do that, you can do that by two ways. For me, for example, before, again, it's like 15, 17, 20 years ago, not a whole lot of programs and platforms that gave you that opportunity. What I did and what many of us here in the office did was just going back day by day, going back and just looking at the market over and over again, live or history, but we did that over and over again to learn how the market behaves. But in your case, because it's 2024, you can actually use tools to make it a little bit easier or shorter. What you can do, and I'll put that on the chart here. Okay, so if you go basically to, for example, TradingView, right? What you can do is you can use the simple tool that they have that you probably heard about, at least if not tried it, replay. And the replay can give you the opportunity to watch back and see how it played out, right? Go back in time and see how it played out. So for example, if I'm clicking on the replay, now I have this bar here and I can choose a date. In most cases, you would like to choose a date way back. So it's not something that you already saw a few days ago. So let's just, for the example, let's say we'll take 9 here. Okay, let's September 6, select it. Now I'm where it at, And now what I can do is basically click on play, and I will see the chart start forming in front of me. As you can see, the drop here, and I can play with the speed of it as well. For example, speed 1 will be every single second, as you can see here. And now I can see the chart easily. I can understand what's going on. And when I see something that I like, something that I already fit to my setup, and if I don't have a setup, then I'm learning as it goes along. Now I can start to analyze it, stop it for a second, see what the market did. For example, that's an easy one. You can easily see this bar, or this actually resistance level, right? A resistance that became support, resistance became support, another resistance, and then maybe you can assume that the price will drop again. Or if not dropping, then it might do this. Again, I'm watching this first time as you guys, and maybe this is something that we can plan out, right? Breaking through resistance, retesting it, bouncing up again. One option. Other option, dropping from here, maybe testing that resistance line and then dropping again. Let's play it out. Again, I didn't see it. I'm just scratching here right now. Don't know what will be the outcome, but the idea of what I'm trying to do is basically create in my mind the scenarios, the potential scenarios, and then I can start building my setup or understanding. Okay, broke through, back, retest it, bounce. That's crazy. I gotta swear, I swear to you, I didn't see it before that. So exactly the first scenario, right? Broke through resistance, dropped to support, and then went all the way up. So that's the concept of what we are looking for when it comes to replay, just to understand first on a bigger time scale or a bigger zoom out kind of way, understanding resistance, support, supply and demand, market structure, price action, momentum. Once you have this knowledge, and it takes a little bit of time, but now today, as you can see, you can easily do that. You just need the practice-wise. And once you have it, it's easier for you to start building the strategy once you understand how the market actually behaves. I see that you guys writing a lot of stuff, and I love it. And I will give more time at the end of the day, at the end of the webinar, to go over the questions and answer them. Thanks for that. All righty, I'm going back to the slide. And once we understand that, and we played with the replay, for example, of TradingView or any type of replay, tons of companies offer that today. Now we gotta scroll down or zoom in and understand the details of it, right? Because in most cases, what I saw a lot of traders do, and that's a huge mistake, is basically just looking for that indicator that will cross a different indicator or stuff like that. Super simple, and without any understanding, like I said, of what the market is doing, what's the structure or what the sentiment. So when it comes to building your strategy, you need to dive in and actually analyzing it from few different angles, right? So for example, the time. Maybe you guys that trade in Forex, obviously you have the time where you're awake, you have the time where you go to bed. You need to understand what are the time limits or the timeline that you play with and trade, and only then look for the strategy and the setup that actually relevant to you, right? Because if you're trading London session and also New York session, even if you have the time to trade both of them, you need to realize where it will work for you better, London time or New York. In most cases, you will see that only one of them will work better than the other. One could be a loser, the other one could be a winner. So when you're testing a strategy, and you already have the idea of what you want to do, you gotta keep in mind that there are times cycle in the market. So if you trade in the US market, you need to understand that the first 2 hours of the day are different than the 2 hours in the middle and the 2 hours at the end of the day, right? So keep that in mind when you're testing and checking your strategy. You might see that midday it's perfect for you, but the beginning of the day it's the worst one for you because of the volatility, right? The asset that you want to trade, if you trade in euro dollar, it will behave differently, same strategy, but it will behave differently when it comes to trading pound yen. Of course, when it comes to trading the Nasdaq, Tesla, or a penny stock, the big picture will remain the same, right? Supply, demand, momentum, resistance, support, all of those things will remain the same foundation for everything. But when you dive into the details, this is where you find your strategy, you find the niche, and then you understand that, okay, trading Tesla at the beginning of the day will be totally different than trading Nvidia in midday, right? Or trading euro dollar at the beginning of London session. So understanding time and the asset that you're trading. Also the news. Maybe you will find that during the news time, you will see that the strategy that you're applying will work perfectly, but when it's a normal day with no news around it, it wouldn't do anything, right? Or maybe you will find that specific news will affect the specific asset that you're trading, and this is where you will find your edge, and you find a way to say, okay, only when the CPI, only with CPI coming on the same day, but it's London session and on pound yen, that will be the key to my trading, right? So you always want to dive in and see those nuances and understand, connect the dots basically, and understand where is your edge and how do you build that right strategy for you. Because to be honest, guys, there is no holy grail, right? There is no such thing as clicking the mouse key and 20 EMA, crossing the 50 EMA, and that's it, you're good to go. The biggest player in this game, Renaissance, Waterbridge, BlackRock, all of those guys, the biggest one that making tons of millions, are always working in that, always working to improve what they already have. That means that there is no really holy grail. They're not sitting in the beach with their laptop and sipping pina colada, right? They're working hard to craft and fine tune what they already have. And this is exactly what we need to do as traders, as retail traders that sit behind a computer and just looking for that small nuances within our strategy, within our setups. So that's about the news. Volume, if you trade in indices, right? So you will have volume. If you trade in stocks, you will have volume. Of course, when you trade in Forex, you don't really have it. Although I gotta say, also when you trade in Forex, you can add your broker volume. And if it's a big broker, you will have enough volume to understand a little bit more about the market behavior or the price behavior. So you can definitely add to that as well. But when it comes to trading indices or stocks, you should definitely use the volume to understand if the volume increases when you see in your setup, the volume decrease. Compare the volume comparing to what we have now and what we had 10 minutes ago. So always play with those tools basically, or parameters. If you're using indicators, you don't just want to add 20 EMA and 50 EMA and then say, like I said, crossing that up, right? You actually want to look exactly what happened during the time where the London session started and in the middle of it, and what happened before that as well. So you always get the idea of the full picture and not the specific one. And we will see in a minute a backtesting strategy that I ran. And you you can easily see the difference between looking at a chart and just seeing entry, exit, entry, exit, entry, exit, and actually doing the hard work of diving in and trying to understand why did it work, why it didn't work, and so on. Okay. Lastly, super important for all of you guys trading. Again, doesn't matter if you trade in Forex or commodities, indices in any kind of way, stocks, the idea of the interval. When it comes to trading, you got to mix those together. For example, if you're trading on a 1 minute chart, trading the euro dollar 1 minute chart, you don't want to stick only there. You want to see your strategy and execution, for example, in the 1 minute. But once you find that area of setup that you want to actually enter the trade, you want to zoom in and go to the 5 minute chart, go to the hourly chart, maybe the daily chart as well. Now you can compare all the setups that you found on the 1 minute chart and also on the 15 minute chart. And you will see those nuances and the behavior of the 15 minute chart as well, comparing to the 1 minute. And now you will see patterns that repeat themselves once on a 1 minute chart you have a setup and also on a 15. For example, on this one that we just talked about, the Tesla replay, right? So this is a hourly chart, but I can dive in to the 1 minute chart, for example, and then see how it behaved on that level of the 1 minute. Or I can go back and go to the daily chart and see exactly the same, trying to understand basically what happened. This is a 1 minute chart, right? So what happened while the price broke through, back to retest the support, and then bounced up. Now this is a 1 minute, and we just saw hourly chart. So now I can start to analyze the 1 minute chart and really dive in, and maybe I will find some extra levels where I can add more to my trade, or maybe I can find some areas where it will give a little bit more confirmation to my trade on the 1 minute. The same thing goes to the hourly or the 15. So once you're mixing it all together and working with few intervals, you get a bigger or a better picture of the setup that you want to trade. And that's super crucial to trading in general. And of course, when it comes to actually understanding what you want to do and finding that strategy to put on a scanner or a back tester, basically. Alrighty. Moving forward, going to the next step will be the back testing. This is where we already have our structure, our understanding of the market. We dived in and found, together with the replay, we found those setups that we want to set, basically. And now we need to go to a platform that will allow us to do this back testing. Like I said, for me, for example, I used to go back many charts and just test the idea of what I want to trade just manually without using any platform like we have today. But because we have that, we can actually go to one of those and use that. Let's see. Alrighty. So one of the platform we can use, it's called TrendSpider. One of our partners at Trade a Pool. Actually, when you join Trade a Pool, you get TrendSpider for free for 30 days. Then you can test it and actually build your strategy. And what I'll do is just, I already clicked it actually, but I'm in a tab that called Strategies Tester, right? A strategy tester. And now what I can do is build myself any type of strategy that I want and run it. But the thing is, and this is, like I said, one of the biggest mistakes of the traders do is basically just randomly put in some stuff in it, like indicators, and maybe the price go above 5% or drop 10%, a lot of those nonsense. You want to go to the backtesting platform when you already have in your mind the exact thing you want to set, basically, right? You don't want to just play with it and throw some random numbers. 99% of the time you won't find anything, because obviously if it was that simple, most traders would have done it already, right? So what you need to do is go here to the strategy tester. You pick your chart, you pick your timeline or the interval, and then you can run your strategy. There is one option to add your parameters, so you can choose between conditions, condition groups, load from a template, or you can also use ChatGPT. You literally write down your formula. Obviously, if it's a super complex formula, you might need to use the parameter. But besides that, this is also a great tool just to play with it at first, to understand it, and then dive into that. And what I'll do right now, I will run a simple task here. Let me remove those. And I can choose from here, for example, one of the stuff that they already have that built in. I will run it on an hourly chart. And let's see what it can come up with. Okay. Perfect. So everything you see here is on NVDA, on an hourly chart. And look how crazy good this super simple 8 EMA, 21 EMA strategy worked. You can see the red here. Hopefully you see it well on your chart. The red here is basically the drawdown. And as you can see, it's almost 1,000% in return. Everything you see on the chart is the entry and the exit. The green one was positive, the red negative. All the data that you need to know about this strategy, the wins compared to the losers, the max drawdown. But the average win, obviously, as you can see here, the losers were much higher, but the average win was much higher than the losers. So eventually, you can easily see a huge increase in the return. Again, in this area right here, you can say, you know what, that's perfectly, and that works amazing. Let's put it to the test and actually run through it with real money. But it's not real life, right? The back testing here is great. Would it work for all different assets on all different time frames? Obviously not. If I'll go, for example, to the 1 minute chart, let's run it on a 1 minute chart and see what we get. I'm guessing it will be this, actually not the same. Yeah, actually that's incredible to see, because although the max drawdown was only 5%, the profit here came out to be only 4%, right? And that's on a 1 minute chart. So of course, when you're playing on the same strategy, you're using the same strategy by applying it to a different time frame, you will get, of course, a different result. This is one of the stuff that we talked about. Here, we also need to check how long we're testing it, how far we're testing it, what was the news every single time of the trade, what was the volume, how was the volume during that time, and many, many aspects to dive into each one. So basically, if, let's say, we found that on an hourly chart, it worked perfect. Now we need to dive in for each single trade that the system showed us and understand why we entered there, and how can we understand to basically to improve it, or get the idea of what we can do better. For example, we might want to skip those. This is something that I see right now, very easy to spot. Here you can say, you know what, when it's sideways move, when you don't have any breakthrough, right, to a new high, and it's sideways move, maybe you want to skip those trades and you delete them, and now you see the result. Because we're talking about, in this case at least, we're talking about EMA strategy, exponential moving averages. So in that case, when the price is sideways, of course, the moving average won't be effective. So maybe you want to say to that platform, you know what, give me that strategy, but only when the price break to a new high, and that will give you a different result, and so on. So the same here, right? 2 losing trades, maybe only when it break through, then give me what I really want to see. So you can play with it, dive in. The main idea is, what I'm saying here is that you gotta focus and zoom in, but only after you have the understanding of the market and what you want to test. Once you know what you're looking for, then you apply it to a system. You go over each trade, analyze it, as I mentioned, by the news, the indicator, the volume, the asset, the time of day, the interval, all of those criterias, and only then you can get profitable strategy that you say, you know, this is what I know that will work for me. And that's great, but that's not all, because up until now, we just played with the data of the past. Now, after we already have something in our hand that we rely on, and also, by the way, when you have a strategy that you feel that you can perform well with, and you rely on it, you basically give yourself that boost in your on the mental side of it, and give yourself that confidence that you can trade it and it will succeed. And this is also a major part of being a trader. You need to have a confidence when you click the mouse key that what you're doing is the right thing, right? But if you trade in just randomly without a strategy that you tested and know that this is exactly what you're aiming for, or you understand what the outcome will be, if you don't do that, then you're not secured when it comes to trading. And when you click in the mouse key, you don't really understand if the trade will go to your favor and so on. You will make a bad decision based on that. If you already proved yourself that your strategy works, and again, it doesn't have to be on real money, just prove and see from in time. And also when you have specific rules for that, you understand that it should work. Now it's easier for you to execute the trade the next time that you will see that. So another drink. Let's continue. I promise I'll try to go over the tons of questions that we have here at the end. But you know what? Let's break it down here before diving into the next part. Let me know in the chat how many of you guys did the process, the procedure of what I just explained. So not just going into backtesting, but actually building your strategy first by looking at the chart, going into replay mode, just going back history, throughout history, and then go to the backtesting. It will be super interesting to see your comments here and understand really who did it from A to Z. Okay, nice. Manually, that's amazing. Perfect. Okay, great, guys. Super important, and I love the fact that you doing it and going through that. Try to pay attention. That's the most important thing in trading. paying attention to the details, understanding when it works and when it's not, and then try to separate the two and focus on the when it works, of course. Amazing, Gloria. Alrighty, so from here, the next step will be the forward testing, because up until now, we just went back, tried to understand what happened in the previous without trading them. But like I said at the beginning, if you're only watching the charts or watching the backs testing, the trades that you backtest without the real trades, then you're missing the most crucial part in trading, which is the decision making. Obviously, when it comes to clicking the mouse key, you have times when you will sit in front of your computer or in front of your screens and fully focus, 100% focus on your trading, no one interfering you. You had a great meditation before, or just came very fresh to the table and you nailed it, right? But few hours later or a day after, your boss yelled at you, or you had a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and whatever it is, maybe you're sick or just not in the mood of trading, but you sit down to trade, and your decision making, even though you saw the perfect setup, your decision making was awful because you're not fully committed and not fully in focus. So when you have that, you understand that the major, like the most important element here is actually being focused to make the right decisions. Obviously, not all the time we can do that because we're not machines. So there are things around us that will affect us every single day. But at the end, you are trying to build that or to focus for 2 or maybe 3 hours a day, to stay focused, if you're day trading, of course, to stay focused and put all the noises aside and actually make the right decision. But again, when it comes to back testing and you're going back and not testing it on your own trades, just finding the strategy, then it doesn't mean nothing. You can see, like I just showed you, the amazing return on NVIDIA here, but it doesn't really work that way because this is what you could have done, right? It's not something that you already did. So the next step will be forward testing, right? And forward testing means that we will take what we already have, not the ones that the backtest showed us, trades that we already have, understand them first, and then trying to see what happened on 2 ways, 2 levels, right? One thing, realizing where we actually, where is our edge, right? So for example, like I mentioned, the time of day, the interval, the setup, the day in a week, the month, the asset that you're trading, all of those, obviously the different strategies. Maybe you're trading momentum strategies, but also trend following and such. Whenever you have news and all of those elements. And the second thing is going into that trade and see what you could have done if you would have stayed a little bit longer. If your stop loss wasn't 50 pips, but actually 25 pips. If you took half of your shares or your lots out and the rest of it went to break even. Basically, understanding what would have been a bigger or better outcome if you played with the numbers or basically managed the trade differently. Maybe you will find that you're doing everything great, but in most cases, you can find those 5% more, 10% more gain, even more than that, to your portfolio when you're analyzing and understanding that, you know what, maybe from now on, I will try to understand that whenever the price is reaching 2 times my risk, I will put my stop loss. I'm not going to take profit. I will put my stop loss at break even, for example. And then when it will reach 3 times, then I'll take everything out. Now you already have the trade, so the decision of clicking the mouse key, you already did it. So you're taking the same trade, but you're breaking it to a different manage, right? You manage it different than what you already did. And this is something that definitely wanna check out. So let's dive into some numbers and some statistics. I will show you stuff that I did, and then we can continue to talk about and see some questions that you also have. Alrighty, so this is another partner that we're working with. It's called Traders Sync. Traders Sync is a trading journal, and also when you join Trade a Pool, you get it for free for 30 days. So you can upload your trades from MetaTrader or from any type of broker that you're working with, and of course through Trade a Pool trading platform as well. And this is recently, like a month and a half ago. So basically the trades that I take in my MetaTrader account, of course trading with the Fivers. And let's dive into the numbers here. So when I'm trying to do forward testing, right, I'm taking the same trades that I already have, and now I need to analyze the time and day and the rest of the stats that got me into that point of the profit, but also what I can do in order to make it even better. That's the first thing we want to do, right? So for example, on the right side, you can easily, those are all NASDAQ. When I'm trading on my Fivers account, I'm trading the NASDAQ. So these are all NASDAQ trades. You can easily see the weekly bar here or the chart. And you can look at two things. First of all, my Mondays are not that great. And also my Thursday, not that great. Tuesday and Wednesday, however, are super. So I know that this is only a month and a half, right? But you can go even more and bring more data. And then you will see a whole lot of numbers that support or not what you're seeing. But let's say if we have enough data here, you can see that Tuesday and Wednesdays are great for me. If you're scrolling down just a little bit more, hours wide, look at that. That's gold. That's literally gold, guys. Hourly, 1 a.m., I'm losing money. 2 a.m., I'm losing money. But then 4 a.m. and above, I'm making money. Simply as that. That's once you're watching that, and this is, just the upper level, right? We want to dive in more and more to realize what is the edge that we actually have. But only by looking at those numbers, simply as that, you can understand that I need to stop trading at 1 and 2 a.m. I need to wait to 4 and above, right? And if I'm mixing it with Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday as well, then I know that this is where I'm the best at. Now, of course, I need to check what happened on those days. Maybe there was big news coming, right? Maybe the market was at the high of the day or top or the bottom of the day. Maybe it was different intervals that I traded. Those 1 a.m. trades that got me into the losses. Maybe it was 1 minute chart. Well, on 4 a.m., I'm trading an hourly chart. So I need to dive into the numbers and really understand them. But only, with a quick, very easy look here, you can understand where are you better than the other days or hours. Going deeper, you can go into reports, and here within that you got tons of information about returns, the biggest loss, the bigger winner, right? All of those numbers that you want to work with, the daily return, and you can also dive into that as well. This is definitely the second layer that you can touch and find useful when it comes to analyzing what you already did. Scrolling down, win percentage, and also risk reward ratio, the average daily, the average weekly, all of those numbers. And one thing that you can also do is go to the simulator here. This is a great tool. And now you can start adding, you can see on the right, you can start adding different parameters to see basically where you stand compared to what you already have. So this is your original, right? This line right here. This is what I actually did and traded. And now I can play with it, and maybe for the days, right? Maybe I have Tuesday, but I'm also adding Monday. And now look at the simulator. So only focusing on Tuesday and Monday, my numbers would have increased dramatically. And of course, I got to go back and understand what happened on those Tuesdays and Mondays. It's not just like that. I got to dive in and really understand what happened there. What got me into the point that those are the best days. Maybe the best setups that I found was Tuesday and Monday. Maybe I was so focused on the managing the trade the right way. I had it exactly where I wanted. I scaled in perfectly, took my profit and all. So I got to dive into those days and understand what I can do with them. Here you also have volume that's more for stocks, also entry prices, also for stocks in this case. Monthly, if you add the full year, so you can play with it and see, for example, October I made almost 5K, September only 3. Maybe in time, if you have more data, you would have seen that September's or October's are the best month of your year, right? Hours, again, we talked about that, a breakdown of the hours, and now I can play with them and see exactly what would have been the outcome if I only traded Monday, Tuesday between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. And if I add a few more assets here, I also could have seen maybe that I'm better of trading gold compared to NASDAQ and so on and so on. Alrighty, so definitely check them out, Traders Sync. And again, if you join in Trade a Pool, you get it for 30 days for free. You can upload your trades from MetaTrader or any platform that you're working with, and then start to play with it and understand it. Of course, you also have a market replay here that you can apply, and you can tag your trades as well. This is one stuff that I really love to do as well. Basically, add a tag to each trade that you take. So, for example, if I'm looking at the trades that I made, right, and now I go into one of them, I can tag it, write down what was the strategy all about. What did I like there? Or is that an hourly trade on buy the dip, or 1 minute chart MACD diversion, right? So once I have all of that, this is also something that I can say, you know what, that's perfect. I can use that for next time because it worked before, it might work again. And the second layer that we can use, as said, is, I'll put it on, let me get my account here. And let's see. So if I'm going to MetaTrader, for example, okay, so I'm in my MetaTrader, and now, as you can see, there are basically the dots or the area where I entered. What I can do is dive in and understand how I traded it and how I could have traded it better. For example, let's take first the easy one, right? This is one of the trades that I made. Again, that's the NASDAQ. And I took that short from here. Hopefully you see it well. and then added a little bit more here. And then when it dropped, I covered some here and then covered here. And I took another tiny short from here to here. So let's focus about this one. So I'm asking myself, I'm looking at the chart, I'm looking at the trade, and I'm basically waiting, understanding, or asking myself what could have been done better, right? On execution and also on the managing part. So execution, I can easily give myself, that's the top. So I can easily give myself a 10 out of 10. That was perfect for me, at least. I'm okay with doing those executions from here and not taking literally the top. That's great. Adding to my position, that's also a nice one. Looking back, I could have had maybe a little bit more when it bounced a little bit back, but technically the idea of adding to my position here was also great. A drop, a retest. It took it a little bit longer than expected to work, but basically I also like the fact that I added here well. But now let's talk about the my profit here, right? So I took some when it dropped, and it dropped to the previous lows, right? Those areas here. So that makes sense that I would take some. But then we had another move to the upside. I took another short, and then when it dropped, covered both of them. So in this case, we're looking at this trade, this old trade, coming to that support areas. That was a very nice move for me on both levels, the entry and the exit, right? So I'm okay with doing those. And I would definitely keep a screenshot of that to remind myself how I want to see the setup and what I'm looking for exactly. But going forward, look at the trade that I made, 2 trades that I actually made here at the top. Let me zoom in for a second. Okay, that's the first one. Here at the top, I shorted the Nasdaq. Again, I didn't take the high here, but actually entered a little bit lower. I'm okay with that as long as I'm within the full structure. So I'm still working the structure, so that's fine. Added more, very similar to what I did before, right? The drop, entered, bounced, added more. So those 2 are great. And also added more when it broke the structure right here at the bottom. So those 2, the entry-wise was great in my opinion. But look at what I did when I exited, right? It dropped, I took those stops and basically market orders actually, and got out of the trade when it reached those support areas. So once it broke and dropped to this area of support, I took all of my trades out and covered my short. Then look what happened. Now, of course, when I'm entering a trade, I don't really know if the price will continue to drop or not, but I need to give myself the opportunity, or to give the trade the opportunity to work. I cannot just click the mouse key, get out of the trade, and nothing else. So in that case, I didn't do that. And you can only eat your heart when you see this kind of move, when you already perfectly executed that entry, but got out super, super fast. So one of the stuff that I can definitely understand is maybe keeping some of it, as I usually do, by the way, keeping some of it at break-even point, like 10%, 20% out of your full position. Just leave 10, 20% to run. In that case, it could have got me a huge trade compared to what I already, from what I took actually, right? So this is one thing I can test and see. Maybe maybe I would say that going back, all of my trades are actually, let's say, similar to that, and I'm taking it partial super fast without waiting longer or without keeping some portion of my position in, right? So that's that. And also looking at the bottom here, Look at my trades here at the bottom. I took a long right at the bottom, and look what the Nasdaq did today or yesterday because of obviously the election. So I took the best setup, the best trade that I could have found, right on the bottom, breaking that support, playing with it and bouncing up. But I, instead of waiting and staying longer in this trade, just got in and out super fast. So these are my entries, my buy orders, and these are my sell orders. This is an hourly chart. This specific trade I took actually on a 1 minute chart. In most cases, I would trade at least today because I'm in a lot of meetings and a lot of other stuff. So I would take trades from the hourly chart. But in this case, I took it on a 1 minute chart and just took the tiny bit of it instead of letting it play and build and then have this nice push to the upside. So I know on my trading at least that in most cases you won't see me trade like this, and you won't see tiny chunks like tiny moves that I would take. So I'm not that mad at myself, but this is definitely something I can work on and understand what happened there. And I know what happened there. I was mad about losing that big short here, that huge short. So I got myself into a position where only, you know what, I gotta give myself something more than what I just took. So I know that the psychology part of it played along here and got me into that position, or at least not got me into the position because the execution was right, but managing it wise, taking my partials out was something that got affected because of the previous drop, the previous short that I missed most of that move. So in that case, I know what happened, but it's unlikely for me to do that. In most cases, you would see me, as you can see, play along the line, taking a short from the top, covering, maybe switching to the other side, shorting it from the top, covering when you see a drop, and so on. This one is really a rare situation, but still, learning from it will give me another edge and another understanding of what I need to do for next time to improve myself. So that's about it. Now let me see your questions, and of course, if I missed anything or if you have more questions, keep them coming. I'll try to go over. There are tons of them, but hopefully, what we did right now, even if it wasn't brand new to you and you do some of the back testing, hopefully I gave you some ideas or angles to look at it differently or give you some advantages for next time to improve your trading. Let me know what you think, and also if you have more questions. I'll try to go back, but there are tons of them, so hopefully I won't miss anything. All righty. Yeah, Christian, psychology is definitely the key, no doubt about it. All right. Okay. The guy that asking, Thomas, you're asking about MetaTrader. You can download it, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for today, asking about assignments. So for today, guys, what you need to do is pure simple. You need to take 5 charts, mark the supply and demand areas or support resistance, price action, and then go back in time and find that again, like we did at first with Tesla, if you recall. I think it was Tesla actually. Let me see. Go back in time. Yeah, I think so. Right here. So you go to TradingView, for example, or any type of account that you have, and then just go back in time, try to find those same market structures, same elements that we talked about. This is by far the most important one for you guys. Just understanding first the bigger picture and then diving into the strategies. FIT, you're asking about how to trade after a large move. You mean probably the NASDAQ, or I'm guessing also on Forex, you had big moves. In most cases, just sit this one out. The idea is basically, but if you really want to trade it, just wait to see a major resistance level on this one, right? For example, looking at the NASDAQ, right? Okay. So the NASDAQ did a crazy move to the upside, but you still have this resistance right here. So I would expect it to play with this. So basically reaching this area, then get rejected and short it. The other option, break through it, retest it, and then continue to the upside. So those are the two plays I would look for. So you can do your assignment on TradingView. And again, as I said, if you're looking for, this is the NASDAQ that I just talked about. Again, if you're looking for journal, you can definitely use TraderSync. If you're looking for back testing and much more, Transpire would do the work for you. Amazing. NASDAQ is also my favorite, I gotta say, although I'm coming from stocks and always into stocks. NASDAQ is, there's something about it, you know. Alrighty. Perfect, guys. So TradingView, okay, you're saying you need a subscription for that. I know that they do have a Black Friday. They're gonna have a Black Friday discount, so maybe try to check that. There are other platforms as well. Just Google it. It will be kind of easy to see. Don't you think to ride a trade for a bigger profits is better to use 9 EMA? Yeah, I mean, Vij, you can definitely use, for example, the 9 EMA to ride a trend. Of course, remember that, you know, when it comes to what we just saw, a lot of it are already was there, right? When I traded it, for example, I took that short from the top on the NASDAQ, so I didn't really know that this is it. We're going to the big move. I knew that, or had a feeling, the idea that I will have a winner trade here, and I'm right on the direction, but I didn't know that it go all the way. So you can definitely use the 9 EMA, see how you tested it. This is exactly what we talked about here on the backtest. So check your trades, see what would have happened if you use the 9 EMA every time to make a decision on exiting the trade, for example, and check the asset, the hours, all of those details that we covered, and then see if it works for you. Maybe you will find that the 9 EMA will be great for a London session, not for New York, right? Euro dollar, but not for pound yen. So just just dive into that. The only indicator that I'm using is the MACD, MACD. That's an indicator that I will use. To find negative divergence or positive divergence. Yeah, C-Trader, you can try. Don't know about them. Okay. What else? I'll try to answer them. Keep them coming. We can answer also after the live show. I know that my man Mitch is waiting on the other side, is waiting for us to start the New York session. So for those of you, or actually not to start, but continue. So for those of you who want to stick around and trade with us, keep doing that. I'm gonna bring Mitch here, and we will answer some of the questions later on as well. How's it going, Mitch?
What's going on, team? How we doing? Good morning to you guys.
No.
Or should I say
Okay.
happy Trump
I don't
Day?
have my headset here, so I cannot hear you. But I'm
No
sure
worries.
you have great stuff to say.
You got it, my friend.
Alrighty.
You got it.
I'll let you do it, Mitch. Good luck. Guys, thanks so much for coming. It was a pleasure. Hope to see you at Trade the Pool and the Fivers, and we'll be in touch for next time. Take care.
All right, guys. Thank you, Michael. I'll go ahead and I'll bring Michael off here. And I hope you guys appreciated that presentation, walking you guys through it, taking a look at charts and everything there. It's nothing better than, of course, Michael getting through it. And that's what I love, really. I mean, you can't get better than a CEO that's an actual trader, right, guys? So let's get to the action. You guys know what you're here for. It's time to talk some trading, and Trump wins, and now we get to go ahead and trade the action. Guys, this morning, already making some trades in Tesla. 1 a win, 2 losses, back and forth on Tesla, looking to see what's going on out there. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about. I'll get through it with the Sunrise Report. If you guys haven't seen the Sunrise Report before, this is where we give you what stocks are moving and why they're moving, right? So stick right here. Let's just kick it off. Let's go right to the Sunrise Report, talk about these stocks, and take a look at some of the action. All right, guys, let's get it started with, of course, congratulating our new president or prior president, whichever way you want to look at it, as Trump wins 2024. And the Dow futures are surging this morning, and we're seeing Tesla jump 13%. Bank stocks climbing 6%. JPM, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Bitcoin hitting a record 75,000. Of course, you guys know I've been on the record looking to see if we get a Bitcoin run to 100,000 K. I've been looking at these crypto names and thought about crypto as being a win-win scenario for the presidency. And now you're seeing a nice little push. Also, the 10-year yield popped to 4.43%, signaling some growth there. But of course, there's still inflation worries out there. China, though, dropping big this morning. Let's get to that action. Let's start taking a look at some of the charts here. I'll go ahead and I'll throw up my screen a little bit different here. Let me adjust that a little bit here. Just give me a quick second, guys. I can adjust this. Let me get this a little bit bigger. You guys don't need me that big, right? All right, let me make my chart a little bit bigger. That's what it's all about here, right? You guys want to see the charts. All right, how's this, guys? Let me know how this looks. All right, this looks a little bit better here. Let me go ahead and put up my limited in the top corner. If you guys haven't checked out our limited account, that's what I was trading this morning, nailing DATs and watching it this morning. But let's talk a little bit about the China trade and what's going on there. FXI down big there, 31.50s, guys. So I was looking to see if the China trade was coming back. I had to let go of some of my BABA this morning. I cut down some of the risk. I still haven't cut it out completely in the swing account, but That's not looking good, guys. China trade down big here. Of course, we'll see what happens with China, but definitely dropping 2%, of course, as renewed US and China tariffs could be coming to the market. And that could be what's affecting different stocks. I saw Five Below this morning taking a whopping on the downside. We'll see what happens there. It's Five Below down to 84. And definitely, I'll catch up with some comments in the chat. If you guys have any stock you guys want me to check out, today's the day, guys. Don't go anywhere. Throw up those stocks. I'll take a look at them. I'm going to keep running through the report here, but we got a lot to take a look at also in the small cap rally. So Five Below, of course, why is this getting hit? It's because of the tariffs. Of course, cheaper products coming from China now will be getting hit, and that could be a negative, a big negative for like a PDD that has like a Temu, right? Well, that's going to be a positive for, like, let's say an Amazon, right? I think that'll be a positive for Amazon. We'll see what happens there. Now let's talk a little bit. Of course, the crypto stocks made a big leap overnight, right? Those things. CleanSpark yesterday, right? Yesterday was all the way down there to $10. This morning was up there in the morning towards 12.57. So we'll see what happens. 4 a.m. clock right there, went to 12.57. This is one that's on my radar, guys. I got to keep an eye out on this trade, and I think that this is definitely one you can watch for the action today. Will we get the gap to fill? One thing to think about here. Will it go back to that 1687 for Mara? I think I'll be looking for more of an undercut towards the 1725s, then start working higher. But let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs kind of going sideways here, and I think you really watch the hourly moves, right? So looking for hourly long pullbacks and then the move higher. If I think about it this way, in 2016, what happened then? So important. If you guys do not follow my Twitter, I put out statements like this all the time. So definitely give me a nice follow there. And I'll show you guys the statement here. I think it's important to catch, right? Because I did this with using a little bit of some chat GPT help, right? You can't go wrong with a little bit of help there. But let's talk a little bit about that and what happened in 2016. I think it's very important to think about that. Right. So if we think about it, in 2016, following the election, the stock market saw a notable rally. Here's the breakdown. On day one, it actually had initial volatility. So a nice shake out the gates. And then the market rallied by the end of the day. But then we saw the rally continue on day 2, on day 3, on day 4. So that just goes to show us, right? That's when we're going to be looking for today. I'll be looking for quick moves down out the gates to cause some uncertainty in the market, and then look for the psychology to come back in with some rampant buying, especially into the later part of the day. This could take into, like, let's say 11, 12 p.m., maybe even later in the day till it's 2 p.m. Yesterday, we saw a nice little raise around the kind of the 3 p.m. time, but we'll see what happens. I mean, this is going to be something to think about, and I think we just got to watch the action today. That's what's going to tell us what to trade. Of course, there's more on the Sunrise Report we can talk about. Spirit Airlines gaining 10% off of less regulation concerns, and that could actually help the airline trade this morning. Look at the airlines getting a nice little rip higher, and I was talking about it just recently, how American Airlines looked like it wanted to fill the gap. It filled the gap, and it's continuing here. Delta Airlines ripping towards 60. And I talked about the cruise lines as being an opportunity when Norwegian Cruise Lines was down here earlier in, of course, September at the 17s. Would it go back towards this green area? And it's just taken off. So the leisure space looking awesome this morning. And let's talk about one more trade that you guys can be looking at. Now, U.S. Steel getting a nice little lift. And I think that this really helps because Cleveland-Cliffs just took a whopping on their earnings report. They were down, and now this is actually bouncing back. So I think we watch this steel trade as, of course, this is a big push as potential, we could anticipate potential steel tariffs under Trump similar to 2018. And this is helping these stocks get a nice lift this morning. So Nucor, you got Steel Dynamics, you got Cleveland-Cliffs. There's lots of names you can take a look at there. I love this STLD in the way that it trades, but take a watch on these. This is going to be something definitely to keep your eyes open for. All right, guys, I'm going to take a moment away from my sunrise report to catch some stocks in the chat and catch some questions out there. I'm seeing a ton of questions in the chat there. And you guys are seeing two different platforms here, right? You guys are seeing the Trade the Pool platform on the right-hand side where I do a lot of execution through it, right? But you guys are also seeing me use different tools like you saw Michael use TrendSpider there. Different tools. You got to have some different tools in your tool belt, of course. That's what I always say as traders. And sometimes you got to pay up. I saw a lot of people saying, but they don't have a free account here and things like that. I'll be honest, man. As a trader that's been around for years, you got to pay to play. That's the way I feel it is. That's the game, right? You can't make money for free. That's just the way life is, right? So we'll see what happens, guys. Smash the like out there. Let's see what else is out there. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Let's catch up with some of this chat conversation here. Seeing a lot of conversation there. What's going on, man? How we doing? Man, just knocked the support. What are you guys taking a look at out there, guys? Are you guys taking a look at the Qs this morning? I know that you guys are taking a look at that. Dollar Tree took a decent hit. That's for sure. Seeing a lot of conversations on the demo and, of course, the conversation that was on the prior access. Do you provide access to a news terminal? Well, there is some news right on the platform, guys. If you guys haven't taken a look before, there is the RSS. If you guys haven't taken a look at that, you can pull it up right on the platform. Then you can get some different news and links right there provided to you. Of course, some of this, is going to be great. Some of it is going to be a little fluff, right? It's a lot of it. We're getting it from a nice source and sourcing it for you. But like always, guys, if you guys want to catch up with news, I recommend stay right here, guys, right here. All right. No sound. What happened there? I thought we were fine there, but hey. All right, guys, what's going on out there? Is a clean chart good for trading, or is a chart with indicator clutter? Well, I'll show you guys something here, right? Because I know that you guys are like more in that learning environment right now, not so focused on trading. Of course, I'm more focused on the trading action, but let's talk a little bit more about indicators and that mentality, right? I saw a lot of questions. Well, someone said, I don't use indicators at all. And someone said, well, yeah, I like indicators. What about the 9 EMA for trend following? The truth is, this is how it works, guys. It's like this. So it's all about having tools that can help you trade your strategy. So you need to understand your strategy. What's that strategy? Is it a fast-paced strategy? Is it more of a slow action strategy? Are you more low size looking for a bigger move? Or are you more high size looking for a smaller move? This is what's going to determine what indicators you should have on your charts. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking for fast moves, should I care about a 200 EMA? No, by no means necessary, right? And let's say if I'm looking for momentum trades, should I care about, let's say, long-term RSI? Not really. What I just want to see is the RSI heading towards the upside on the daily. That's it. That's all I really need to see on the RSI action, right? So you just got to find what works for you. For me, that's multiple indicators, but more used in what? In a conviction stance. So where I'm looking to go ahead and try to use indicators to tell me, hey, confirmation on this trade is working well. That can give me confirmation on the trade, and then it can give me the ability to go ahead and add on the trade. So, of course, I feel that indicators are not necessarily used for entries and exits, but more used for description of the chart. And if that description's telling me that I'm having a momentum breakout and I'm trading a momentum breakout, that's giving me what? Conviction. All right, guys, let's get back to the market action. We'll see what's up out there. How do your position calculation? Well, position calculation's tough, guys, and it's good to see you out there. It's definitely good to see all you guys. Keep the questions going. I do have a lot of things going through the chat, but I'm here to help you guys. Here to help you guys continue forward in your journey. So if you guys have questions before the bell, today's the day, guys. It's 9:26, so we only got about 4 minutes left here before the bell. We'll keep it moving. There was an assignment today, so if you need to see that, rewind the tape, go back and see what Michael was talking about there. We'll keep pushing. All right, let's see what else is out there. But definitely, got to take a look into this. So position calculation is more about the dollar risk and the percentages that you want to play. So a lot of traders try to go and try to really define things like, hey, I'm going to risk 1% on this and make 3% return, which I don't think is a wrong thing in doing so. But you also got to understand the stock itself. Some stocks are not going to give you the type of return that other stocks are. Why? Because there's different volatilities and betas, right? And so the stock will move different, right? Tesla moves different than, let's say, a penny name, right? Or a Steel Dynamics, right? So these are all things that you need to be thinking about in your position calculation. So the number one thing that I would say to do is to understand your risk in dollar amounts when you start, right? Because that's the important thing. But as you move further and further into sizing up, I think it's also important to play the percentage game because, 2 or 3% on a big account is a big amount of money at the end of the day. So that's a little different, right? Like when you have a small account and you make 30%, it's not the same as having, let's say, a $300,000 account and making 3%. Completely different, right? But just things to think about. And it's all coming down to also profit to loss ratio and what you're trying to play. Is your risk profile a 3-to-1? Is your risk profile a 2-to-1? Right? Am I trying to make $2 for every $1 I risk? These are the things that I really think about are important because you keep the mathematical probability in your favor. And you're never going to be 100% to that 3-to-1. A lot of times you need to review your statistics to see, are you like a 2.75-to-1 trader? And that's okay. But if you're starting to move closer towards the 2-to-1, you realize, hey, maybe I'm taking the cash a little too early. Things to think about. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. Keep dropping some questions. Let's take a look around what we can else trade. And please, please don't blow the accounts. 100%. I always talk about it. The number one job as a trader is just not to just get wiped out. That's our first job. Every single day that I sit on this desk, my job is not to get wiped out. After that, my job is to make money. But it's not going to come instantly. The first thing I need to do is capital preservation, and then I can start playing with the money side, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. Advise us on how long this election effect will last. Well, the election effect will last for the next 4 years until there's another president. But how will this move the markets today? Nobody knows, man. That's the truth. Nobody knows. The only thing you can do is try to play things. That's why people tried to play things yesterday, but that was even more of a risk because of the overnight action, right? All right, what do you guys think about using scripts for back testing and forward testing, like trading view pins, Pine script? I think that's what it was mentioned in the chat. Well, I think scripts are good. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're able to really code something in that could work, yes. Another thing to think about is okay, so when I backtest this, can I backtest this and it work with size? Because sometimes when you backtest something and then you go to execute it in the open market, it just doesn't work. And it's okay. That's why I always backtest something. And then when I actually go to trade it, a lot of the times I'll stay small first and then start sizing up to it as it works. If the statistics match the backtest in my execution and I'm executing the strategy right, then I can go ahead and take money to the trade, right? That's why I sometimes talk about the one share trading. A lot of times traders like to trade on a paper account when I think it's better to go ahead and trade real, but maybe trade with smaller size at first. Even in our evaluations and different kind of evals that are out there, it might be better to start off with very, very tiny size, get into the flow of things, realize that you have a good strategy, and then start to play it hard. All right, let's keep going, guys. Trading operations from yesterday's task. Unfortunately, I won't be able to answer that, but there will be some people watching the chat from the Trade the Pool team. Hopefully, they can get you guys an answer on all of that. Keep dropping those questions. Let's get back to the trading and get ready here for the open. The open's open already, guys. Steel Dynamics on the first action is on the upside. I'm watching DATS, of course, because that's the one that made me the money this morning. It just went down there towards the 390s, just did like an undercut through that 345. I'm taking a look at it to see if it recovers 350 today. If not, it could go ahead and wipe out back down to 3 here. Back above the 350s, though, it looks interesting for the 4 run. And look at the wipeout back towards 3. That was the concern there. So definitely downside action there. Taking a look at Tesla here and looking around at different alerts out there. I got an alert on a swing trade idea, which was CarMax here, as CarMax breaking 77. This is a more idea based on Carvana, and Carvana higher today. So that's helping KMX do pretty good out the gates here. An alert for the 77 break there. Not a bad move on the action. That's down big there out the gates there. I'm looking at a different one. SONN. This one was up there to 13 just a little while ago. Made a monster move. Now pulling back fast there towards the 871. We'll look to see if it can recover. Looks like it tried to make that breakout through 13. Failed big, and it's down 32% from that breakout. All right, looking into the market, you're going to take a look around here. And one of the number one things that I think is important for you guys out there to learn today from my trading action is how I look into sectors and industries. So right now, let's focus on that. So sectors, right out the gates, what's leading? It's really important. It's financial services, industrials, and healthcare leading the action. It's not technology. It's like JPM, right? Banks, big banks getting a nice little lift here right out the gates. So that's definitely a strong move there. And I take a look to see some different action, like maybe some regional bank, like this regional bank ETF, like KRE. So you could also take a look to see is what's leading. Well, it's capital markets. And so capital markets are going to be Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, those type of names. Hood falls in that. And I think that's interesting to see. But look at GS, Goldman Sachs, trying to hold 575 and make that move to 590. And one of the things to think about is why are the financials going up here with Trump? Well, the situation with Trump here in the financials would be less regulation for the banks, essentially giving them more room to go ahead and kind of play with leverage and things like that could give them a nice little push to the upside. Please have full screen on your candle side chart. Okay, that's great feedback. I can go ahead and adjust that instantly, guys. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that for the charts. I did want to go through some of the sectors and the industries there because that's really where I have an advantage. That's where I feel I get edge from the market team. All right, let's keep it going. And that's why I think that, for the Forex side of things, right? That's where I think you guys can be looking at things, right? So really focusing on what's moving today. So trying to trade, let's say, financials to the upside today would make sense for me, right? If it's on the Forex side, let's think about things in like basic materials, right? This is a good way of looking at things. So coal is up today. Steel is up today. Aluminum. Those types of things are getting a big push. Now, what's getting hit on the downside? Gold down big, right? And you guys know, you guys trade gold. Well, gold getting that nice little hit there. Let's take a look at some of the gold charts to see how they're getting hit here. GOLD back down to 1790s, just faded off of that VWAP. So that was a nice little fade on that, but that was before the open here. Now we're getting a little bounce here. We'll look to see if we get another flush down. AU is another one that I trade in gold that I'll be taking a look at. And this one has a tendency of trending a little bit more. So you guys that like to use like the 9 EMA and things like that, yeah, for AU, that'd be a good watch. AU down there to 2550s. Look like it wants lower, so definitely taking a hit. But what I wanted to show you guys was really looking into more of that in sector to industry and then to stock mentality. The same way that you guys can be looking into different things like commodities and then working deeper into the commodities, right? Is it wheat, right? Things like that. And I think that's one thing that you guys can definitely take from my trading and apply it in all different markets. All right, guys, keep throwing up those stocks. I'll keep taking a look out there. How many stocks portfolio do you monitor in a day? Well, I got 3. I have a swing account. I have an account for kind of these lower names, like the penny names, like DATS. And then I have an account that's my main account that I use more high quality names, right? Trading Tesla, trading NVIDIA, names like that. All right, let's go ahead. We'll keep it going. We'll see what else is out there. But I do see a lot of you guys making questions out there, and I'm here today to try to help answer some of those questions too. Because at the end of the day, I know I need to trade, and I'm going to trade, but I'm definitely going to be looking around out there. Please talk more slowly. Good feedback. I'm sorry about that. Today I'm a little hype. Maybe had a little too much coffee, but ready to trade, guys. Let's go see what we can do. All right, that's down to 316. Looking around to see in the scanners what I can find. And of course, we have different scanners ability that you guys can look into. So if you guys haven't looked in the past, definitely check it out. All right, looking at what's trading up today. DJT up, of course, from the open. DJT got a nice spike, now spiking down there to 42. So taking a look into the overall market, Q's with a big spike. Tesla's the one that I want to trade here in the main account. So let's go to it and let's go ahead and trade it here. Tesla already a nice little spike to start the day. Looking to see if I can get a pullback to 285, but that's the 9 EMA, right? So you see the 9 EMA, that's that light blue line. I'm looking for a pullback back towards the VWAP, which is 285. I was actually trading it in the pre-market right around this kind of consolidation spot around the 282s. And you can see it here. I actually sold the position that I had at 283.86. So looking to see if it can continue. This is the one that I like today, especially with the news that happened. Of course, Trump being in presidency is really going to help Tesla, and it's continuing the strength there. We'll look to see if we see some other names that are making a nice move. The Q's now to 502. So the NQ probably going higher there through that 502 and continuing the strength. Really no weakness here out the gates. A lot of people were trying to bet on pullbacks, and it looks like we're getting a nice rampant action to the upside. All right, let's keep it going. I'm going to take a look around to see what else is making a move there. If you can't trade Tesla because you don't want to buy that big of a size, well, you can look at a different name like this, like TSLR, which is a 2 times leverage, which trades very similarly, getting that push there to 24. Nice little push on that name. I'd be looking for 5-minute pullbacks on that back towards the VWAP, but we still haven't gotten a pullback in Tesla today. Definitely should have been taking a look at this out the gates. Just a little bit all over the place with everything that's happening here. But Tesla, definitely one of my top watches. There's a reason why I was trading it this morning. And DJT is another top watch, but that's on the downside and getting wiped out. Oof, that's a tough trade out there. Google, another good one to watch as we broke the 170. So I've been waiting for this one to break 170. We pulled back, and now we're holding the action out there. Apple's an important one, too, because, of course, of the Warren Buffett news that happened earlier in the week. Let's see what happens today. Can it get back above the 225 spot? It just got above that, now pulling back here. So taking a look around at the action and different moves that are leading the action today. What's interesting? Discover, DFS. Up monster is here. Discover, big rip up, guys. Are we seeing the same move in Visa? No, that's interesting because that's a monster rip there in of course DFS, which is Discover, your credit card. Big push there. All right, looking around at some other names, trying to call them out. Cleveland Cliff with a nice little push. I talked about how Steel Dynamics could get a nice little lift. Steel Dynamics setting up right now. Let's take a look at this action. This looks pretty good here. I'd like a little pullback back towards like 150.50 here. The only thing is the spread's a little wide on this. And you guys know all about spreads, right? So we'll see what happens here. Let's keep it looking here. Let's see what else we can get towards the action. All right, seeing a lot out there. Are you a scalper or a mixed trader? I would say a mixed trader. I don't scalp often. Do you trade the news? Yeah, I'll trade the news. I think it's all important about having different variables, right? So I'm trying to get a little bit of a pullback here on Steel Dynamics. It's already kind of making the move, so I might not be able to catch it. Nucor is still up a little bit higher. X pulled back here. This is one that I could take a look at here. Is X trying to give it to me today? You know what? I haven't traded X in a long time, and I at least know how to trade this one. I've traded this one in the past. Looking at the action right now, it is pulling back off this 41. Let's see if it can go back above that 41. So I'll let it test back down here. But really, I'm looking for a push back above this 41.17, going to the 41.50. Of course, this one is the reason why this is moving is that people think that Trump will at least allow this situation to happen. Now, of course, this one has a situation with napalm and the Japanese situation. So we'll see if this one can continue the lift, but it was getting the major lift overnight as it did get a gap up. It could still come back to that gap, which is that 40 move. So I'm keeping that in mind. It's trying to hold here, the pullback. You've seen one pullback, two pullbacks, three pullbacks. It's holding in the line around 40.50, trying to work its way back above that 41.50. We'll see what happens on that one. Still looking interesting there for X. I'll put an alert for me at 40.98. And of course, you guys can set alerts there on the platform. That's what it's all about. Looking around there, what do you guys got out there in the chat? Smash it up. Let's get some music in here and let's keep it moving. All right, guys, it's another beautiful day right here on Trade the Pool. If you guys haven't done so already, do us a favor, guys. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe. Do this every single morning, guys. I'm out here battling, showing you guys it all. There's not many traders that give you this much, right? The full quarter. There's so many traders that will give you, yeah, I made this much money, but how did you trade it, right? Things like that. All things to think about. All right, here's X setting up for that 41 breakout here. Let's see if we can get that move to really start happening here. The big thing is the spread's a little wide there for me, about 13 cents. So I got to keep that in mind here with X. All right, looking around to see different names out there. Tesla starting to pull back. The Q's still hanging on the breakout to the upside. All right, VXX also getting the lift, all right? Yeah, look at that. Nice lift there in VXX. You don't see this often where the Qs are going up and the SPY is going up. The VXX getting a nice little shoot to the upside. We'll see if that actually affects the Qs and it actually starts to come down. But the VIX really getting a little spike there. X already getting up there above that 41.16 here. So looking for a little bit of a pullback to try to take my first trade here. Let's see if X is going to work out here and give it to me. Let's go. X going to give it to you. He going to give it to you. Little pullback here. Let's see if we get it. So above the 41, now holding the 9 EMA pullback. That's what I'm looking for. You see the light blue line, right? We talked about the light blue line. We talked about it in the chat. There's a lot of talk there about the light blue, the 9 EMA. That's right there. Another thing that the 9 EMA comes into play with is the MACD. It's essentially on the MACD, right? And so I think that's an important action there. We'll see if X wants to start ripping here and getting towards the 41.50s. The big thing I think I'm watching here is the SPY's heading on the downside here. So will we get some downside action here? Let's see it. Q's now pulling back just as fast, right? Because, of course, the VIX was just shooting there from 46.20s to 47.30s. So a little bit of some mixed noise here in the market. Be careful out there, guys. Cleveland Cliff still looking good there. X, though, trying to push there to the 41.20s. I'm probably missing this one, guys. Didn't get that 41 entry. We'll see if it pulls back towards that area. But right now, the market kind of pulling back here. Let's see if this gives us an opportunity here. Or do we get some more downside to actually leak in here? If I take a look at the sectors, what's leading the action? What's leading the action is financials, industrials, and technology now. And what's on the red side? Defensive, real estate, and healthcare pulling back. Interesting to see healthcare pulling back like that. All right, let's keep it going. Let's see what else is out there, guys. PDD, one mentioned in the chat. I'll take a look at that action. Not looking too bad. Nice little setup. Hey, that's what it's all about, man. I hope you appreciate that. And I think at the end of the day, what I really like is being able to move about this, right? So like, let's say in industrials, let's find what's strong in industrials. So we go to the industrial space. What are we going to see there? Of course, you got your autos that are going to be helping that. But let's take a look at what's leading the action there. Looks like trucking. So some trucking stocks actually doing really well. ODFL doing well here. XPO. So this is how I find stocks, guys. I work backwards, not forward. What I mean by backwards is going from sectors to industries to stocks. Same way that you guys can be doing this in the Forex space or in different spaces. Trying to work from the bigger theme, what I call macro to micro approach. Are you using Bollinger Bands on the chart? Yeah, There is a Bollinger Band. Those are the bands that you see right there that are sticking on the outside of that. I use that not as much as I'd say I trade off of it. I more long use it to keep me like almost to keep me not greedy, man. Because I'll tell you the truth, guys. There's a lot of times where I'll see the stock, especially on like these smaller names, where it goes and it breaks above the Bollinger Band. And that always tells me, hey, if we're breaking out above the Bollinger Band, we're extended and we could pull back. Like in this case, where the stock broke out above the $4, you can see that the price action's above the Bollinger Band, telling me that, hey, the pullback could be coming. And it doesn't mean that it's going to break down, but the pullback could definitely happen. All right, let's see what's going on out here now. The Q's going right back up here. Let's see if they can hold the VWAP. That's what I'm watching right now. So the hourly long pullback right now, trying to cut back below the resistance of the 501.60. So they're making this hourly candle not look like a breakout and starting to get more into that concerning spot. Let's see if it breaks 500 and the candle goes red. Opening action was 561. So that's another area that I'd be looking at. Ever use ATR? That's a good question, man. I'll tell you what. So these are the indicators that I'll use, and I don't use them all at once because I feel like it sometimes confuses my screen and confuses traders out there. Look what's on the bottom here. Average true range. These are the ones that I like. Average true range, the MACD, and RSI. Those are the three I work with. Of course, volume's important, but you don't always have to have it on the screen. I have it on the screen in different charts. I have, 4 charts that I work with, but definitely we'll see what happens out there. I hope you guys appreciate the action, and you guys see my setup. It's a little bit, vast, right? I have 4 screens essentially here, and if I wanted to, I can use that screen back there, but I mean, trade the pool, right? Smash the like, guys. Let's keep it going. What do you guys got out there? Why 99% traders fail? I highly doubt that. I mean, I guess I'm in the 1%, but hey, let's keep going. I like Verizon. Verizon for what? For the dividend? You trying to get that dividend? All right, looking around, guys. Definitely getting a pullback there in Tesla here, back towards the 284s. So you're getting your opportunity there if you want to play it off of the VWAP right now. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's pulling back fast here. Let's see what happens to the Qs. Will the Qs wipe out? I mean, that's a hard hit on the downside. Now the VIX just shooting off here, guys. So this is one thing that you guys can trade also right in the future game, right? The volatility. So now we're seeing that. And I've traded this one before. I really like trading the VIX. I was trying to stay on the sideline a little bit there, but we are seeing the strength there in the VIX right now. We'll look to see if it shoots off a little bit more. Does it give a little bit of a pullback here? The SPY just heading straight down here and definitely getting some stocks to get hit. DJT, is that halted on the downside? Man, DJT moving fast today, guys. SMCI, I don't want no touch on that thing. No touch. DPST, looking around. This is a regional bank action doing pretty well today. So, of course, I've talked about how the financials made a nice little rip to the upside. We'll look to see if they can continue here. Morgan Stanley starting to pull back. Overall, JPM definitely the stronger one of the bunch. Q's trying to hold on the 500 spot here. Let's see if they hold on to it. If not, we could see a little bit more leak come into the market. All right, looking around, trying to find some trade here, guys. And it just seems to me like we're going into a little bit of some chop time. And that could be some down coming into the market. Little pullback, and then eventually we'll look to see if the hourly support holds. I feel like we could come back towards like this 498.60s before we make another hourly candle back towards 501. So there's going to be a battle today, guys. And right now we're on that pullback. All right, let's take a look at to see what's on the upside or downside in the Qs, right? So downside in the Qs, I'm seeing Dollar Tree taking a big hit there, DLTR. So big hit there. Why? Because of the China situation. Walmart now starting to get hit. This morning, it was actually up. And that was surprising for me because I felt that Walmart had no business being up, especially with Trump winning the presidency, because they get a lot of stuff from China, right? So that's one thing that I'll be thinking about. We'll see what happens here in Walmart to see if we see some more downside in the department stores, and seeing some downside there. Dollar Tree, BJ's, and some pretty big down action there. All right, guys, I'll make the charts bigger whenever you guys need me. And especially if I'm in a trade, I can definitely kind of make the charts bigger here. Looking at the action here, Qs have pulled back, starting to hold that 500 spot. Let's see if we can really start to push back here towards the upside. Right now, SPY, though, dropping fast, and that's what's really affecting things. The VIX shooting off there to the 4830. So that's a big push there. It could pull back at any moment, and that's one thing to think about. Look at the Bollinger Band expansion here. Look how it's riding on the top end of the Bollinger Band. At some point, I expect a 9 EMA test, a 4788 test, or a pullback back down into the VWAP, which could be 4667. So we'll see what happens there if we start to get the pullback and the Qs make a rampant test to the upside. Yeah, the VIX will come right back down. Tesla setting up off of that 283 spot. I traded it here before. Will it make the move back to the 289, or will it just kind of chop around today? It's on the hourly and kind of chopping. So I think we got to wait to see if it breaks the range, especially on a day like today. You want to see it breaking ranges, then just trying to trade in between the chop. Q still pulling back. The VIX still holding on there. VXX is one way to trade it. VIXY. There's so many VIX kind of vehicles that you guys can look into. All right, guys, what's going on out there? I've seen a lot of you guys talking a little bit of that Forex life. Let me know. Anyone looking for a pullback on gold? Shorted the SPY. All right, let's go. We can take a look at that. All right, let's go taking a look at gold. GOLD did make a little jump there towards the 1820s. Will it get the spike up? I think it's more about, of course, does the VXX continue to climb up? Does the SPY continue to drop fast there? We'll see what happens here. Basic materials overall are red today, but still definitely leading the up action. But they're all pulling back right now. Let's see if some of these start to catch a little bit of a bounce. Gold definitely getting hit today also. How's silver doing? Silver is actually starting to pull back there. So let's see if silver bounces here with AG, or it can take a look at GOLD, which is trades a little bit more like your futures gold, right? Well, you can see here the downside that's come into GOLD, and it could keep leaking here. We'll see what happens. Nice little bounce there at 945 to the downside. AU up there to 2563. Looking at some gold names to see if any of these make sense for a short. There's just not much room there. US Steel coming right back down with, of course, that action there. So glad I didn't get that buy in there. The Qs are trying to hold on this 500 pullback. We'll see what happens on that. AMD, big pullback there. NVIDIA looking around. NVIDIA, not bad action on NVIDIA, guys. It did make that push there towards the high, of course, and it could keep going through the 145 and just keep pushing here. Today is one of those days where I'd give NVIDIA a little bit of time, but at some point, it could really push higher here. 143 seems to be a good spot where you're finding some buyers as it starts to come back. Definitely seeing some buys around the 143s as traders start to step up. Tesla back down to the 280s now. So I was looking at Tesla to come back towards hourly support, and it seems like we're going to get an attempt there, which is going to be 277.70 area. So maybe the 278 pullback. We're at 280 right now. Is this oil stocks you trade? Yeah, I can take a look at some oil stocks. We can take a look at that. Let's go looking at XOM. We can see energy from the open is slightly down, but XOM, really good day yesterday. Nice hold of the hourly support. Hourly support being around the 118 level. That's the level that I gave for pullbacks out the gates yesterday. That held really well, then recovered the 119. So now we look at the 119 as being in an area that we can risk off of. So not a bad move here to start the day for XOM. It went down there towards the 119.17, Now could hold 120 on a pullback and start to climb back here. We'll see what happens here on XOM. But of course, and the reason why you kind of like these with Trump is that he's going to allow some more domestic drilling, things like that, right? So Chevron going a little bit higher. That one actually looking a little better on the action today. Of course, that one didn't have as good of a day. So let's see what the action right now on that stock. You can see it's kind of holding the pullback, starting to push to the upside. Another way to play oil overall is to look at Gush. If you like the daily trade, this is kind of your leverage trade. So there's plenty of vehicles today to take a look into an oil trade. So oil trade not looking too bad. I'd like the pullback on this Gush to 30. So let me go ahead and actually set an alert on Gush. If it pulls back to 30, it's going to be looking pretty nice here for a reverse back to the upside. All right, I'll let you know if Gush starts ripping through that 30-50s because that could also be something to look at. SoFi, how's that doing today? Pulling back here. That's interesting to see. Qs overall now holding that 500, but don't want to get the next move back to bounce here. So let's see if we just continue pushing or will we start to pull back here? Will the Qs bounce back? Something that I'm looking at. All right, oil ripping. Of course, US oil, right? Maybe USO. Yeah, USO, nice little push higher there to 74s. So this is one way to play it in the stock side, right? USO getting a nice little lift there. That's why I kind of like the XOM move right now. Off the 120 right here, kind of holding in here. Let's see if it starts to work higher. The only problem is that it looks like a fade. It looks like it's getting shorted into, and that's where I see like kind of that 120.25 acting as a little bit of resistance. Let's see if it gets back through the 120.50. Tesla down big there now, back towards that support that we were talking about, the 1 hour support. You actually just are now undercutting that and coming back towards the 9 EMA. So we'll look to see when it gets back above the 277.70s. That's one area that I'd watch, but we're definitely getting some more pullback. All right, looking around SMCI, that's not probably going well. Yeah, back down to 2066. JPM, the financials, will this start to go higher? This is what I think could turn around the SPY. And the SPY was kind of red there for a second. Let's see if it's still, yeah, it's getting hit hard here on the pullback. And that's going to give the VIX more ammo to keep going higher. It got up there to the 48.50s today. So big move here. Now you're getting that 9 EMA test. So this is that classic 9 EMA test where you have a flagging pattern here. And so I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it better. But yeah, VIX pulling back there. We'll see if the 48 holds here and the SPY continues down. Or will we just get a bounce here? It could very much easily just bounce. So Tesla looking decent here as it starts to recover the 277.70 area. I'm going to take a shot here on Tesla, guys. All right, guys, just grabbed 100 shares there of Tesla. So that's a big order already here. So got to be quick here, guys. Got to be quick here. But took 100 shares there of Tesla to start. Willing to add on this position if I get back above the 280s here. But long on Tesla here. Let's see what happens. I'd also take a look at the Qs, of course. We can take a look at the MACD and things like that, indicators to like look into here. So you can see we haven't crossed on the one. And now I talk about this all the time. I don't use it for entry, but I'm going to use it for conviction. Conviction meaning that this would cross over. The light blue line would go above the yellow line now as the position starts to work in my favor. Of course, I can add to this position. I got a 278 entry. We're almost at 279. Really looking for a potential move that could bottom out here. So we could go for a kind of a triple bottom look where we come back towards like 277. So that's what I'm keeping in mind right now, giving it a chance here to get back above the 9 EMA. Would need to see the Qs also starting to push back above the 500. That's one thing that I can look for. Here's a look for Gush as Gush tries to approach the high there as oil, of course, has been pushing. XOM is going to be looking better on that action too. So that's been trying to set up there. But Chevron's had a little bit better chart this morning. Let's see if this takes the high now and starts to push. Going back to Tesla here. Back to Tesla, quick move on the downside for Tesla here, getting that downside of pressure on Tesla right here. And it's a quick one here, guys. So be careful because we could get some 10 a.m. action here. I didn't even look at the number situation. So let me go ahead and take a look here to see if anything's coming in at 10 a.m. here. We do got some things, some factory orders coming in here. I'm looking into the action to see what economic data is coming in right now. A lot of times you'll get economic data at what? You get it at 8:30 or 10 a.m. We definitely got some action there. All right, still holding in right now on Tesla off of that support, kind of the triple bottom on that action, looking for the crossover to give me the conviction to add. And more than likely, that's back through the 280s. So we'll see what happens here. Taking a shot, guys. What's going on out there, guys? How we doing? It's good to see you. Maria in the chat. Anderson, how's it going, guys? Just opened a short on Tesla. You going against me, Wisdom? Nah, man, don't worry, man. If you make the money, as long as one of us make the money, I'll be a happy man. DJT starting to bounce. Ooh, that's a hard one to trade today, Doug. We'll take a look at the action, but I'll tell you, man, it's a hard one for sure. Here's the action back through that 280. So you can see now I'm deeper into the green, about 150, looking for the 280. Now we're getting that crossover. I'm just looking for the crossover to happen to give me the conviction to add. That's how I take it, right? That's how I take indicators, especially, right? So we'll see what happens here. Pullback, came back down to that 277. Now I won't let it go through that 277. Now I at least have an established risk here. Looking pretty good on the first action here. Let's see if this can really start to climb back through the 280s. And then I can start to add here and take a shot for real. One of the things that I'll say about Tesla too is be careful with trying to chase Tesla, especially with a stock that moves this fast. It's easy to get hit. Mitch, we can be dueling banjos. Let's go. Let's go. Who's getting that money? All right. Let's see if we can start to get this to push higher here. Of course, we're risking about, let's say, to that 277. It's about 105. So we'd like to make about 300 on the upside. That's a push to 281. But that's right now. At some point, I get to break even risk here. In a second, if I add, at that point, I'm going to hold break even and look for the bigger win. That's how I step up to the plate. A lot of my trading is trying to trade small, and then get big. Of course, this seems big for a lot of traders out there. 100 shares of Tesla still isn't no easy feat. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's see what else is out there too. I'm going to be watching around. DJT was mentioned that it was coming back. The Q's back above the 501s. We'll see if it can hold 501 on the pullback. Apple's starting to come back to the upside. So that looks good there. I'll look to see if NVIDIA can push to the upside here. It did push to the 143.50s, but didn't completely break out there. The VIX, I'm just taking a look at that. Now we're starting to get a little bit further pullback in the VIX, but the VIX could shoot right back up here. So I'm going to hold it pretty tight here, see what happens. I'm getting a down test on Tesla here. We'll see if we get cut out there through the 277. It's about to hit it here. I put my stop out there, and I'll show you guys how to do it right there on the screen. There's not too many people that will show you guys this. So if you guys like transparency, I'll tell you right now, there's no one giving you guys this kind of transparency. Look at the action right here on my Tesla trade, right from my chart trading here. I'll show you guys the features here, and I think it's very important. Here you guys have it. So there's my wrist there, right? You guys are going to see me cancel it here because I don't want to show my hand for a second here. See if it comes back towards that 277. Yeah, 1 out. But just watching it here. So I'm holding it right now, letting it go right now. Not trying to have my hand shown by having a stop placed. But, of course, willing to know where my risk management is, like always, right? It's very important here. All right. And with Tesla, it's fast, guys. You got to be willing to let it go. All right, so here's that downside action. I could lose 122 on it. Could have put it at 277, but it was like pretty much right there on the dot. So I might as well put it right below the level that I think is important for Tesla to hold right now. So giving myself about 22 cents of that level right there where I think it could hold. I want to give a stop below that, not on it. If it's on it, easy to get hit. All right, too lengthy of a session now, guys. I mean, now I'm in the trading mode, so you guys, like always, you guys can head out if you need to, but I'm gonna keep trading all day if I got to here. First action there, down on Tesla. So it just came and got me right on that low there. So could come right back up here. I'm just looking at the action. Now we're starting to get a little spike there in the VXX, telling me more and more that we're fighting the action. I talked about how this day could be red until the end of the day. So that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. Tesla trying to climb back here. I can always get back into the trade if I need to. So that's one thing I'm keeping in mind here. We'll see what happens with Tesla if it starts to work back through kind of the 280. All right, still holding in right now. Let's see if it gets that push there. Out on the first trade of Tesla. Let's see if I can get another one. Q's coming right back down, and it just seems like we're fighting a little bit of some up action. Still no crossover there, so it never got the ad. Now we're starting to get the crossover, so things are actually looking better than they were when I was into the trade. So now we're starting to get the action back here. The Qs look like they want to push here. Let's see what happens in the Qs. Qs overall, you can see how you're trying to make that push back here, back towards the 502. The bulls will be watching this action to see if it goes back to the trend line. Trend line back through the 502 will be something to watch. A cut down through the 500 is a cut down further, and the VIX starts to shoot. So I'm going to be watching the VIX here to see if we get a 9 EMA recovery. All right, guys, definitely trend line kind of holding in on that. Did get a little pop, and then it came right back down. There goes the Qs down further, back towards the 500. Will it take out that down action? I'm watching Tesla also. It's trying to hold the 500 is the Qs. We'll see if it's able to hold on. Tesla still chopping around, but could start to catch a little bit of some buyer reaction here. There's the Qs catching a little bit, but right back up here. I'll show you guys the Qs. So definitely we're having a little bit of a mixed battle here, guys. We'll see how it works out. I'm still watching some of those smaller names. Well, how's Sun trading here? Back down to 8, starting to come back. But, man, that one halted twice on the downside. We'll see if it gets an upside halt now on SONN for those smaller traders. If you guys like those smaller names, let me know if you guys are watching any of those names out there. I'll keep an eye out on them. I'll look into my scanner to see what I see going on there. And definitely keep your eyes on the news today, guys, because you're going to get a lot of news, a lot of back and forth on the action today. Yeah, definitely Sun is probably the fastest move that I see out there right now. I'm seeing Clove move today. That one's moving. That's an interesting name to see it. Here's Sun coming back towards the 850s here. So it looks interesting as Sun starts to go back towards that 850s. Will it get the lift off here from that 8? Tesla starting to come back here. Still looking at Tesla to maybe take another trade here. And like always, got to keep the risk and return in focus. That's the important thing. Qs are battling right now. That's why I haven't taken the second trade. We're in the chop right now in the Qs. SPY still looks weaker than the Qs. You can see it because it's not above the VWAP. Look at the Qs. The Qs are right by the VWAP. How's the SPY? SPY's pretty ways away, right? And hasn't really made an up move today. If the SPY just rips to the upside, that's going to be something to look at. So what could we look for? So I could look for the top names to get stronger. Financials, industrials, communication services. Those are going to be areas where you're seeing some strength. Technology, of course, doing well. We'll look to see if that gets another push here. But definitely, we'll see if industrials and financials can get a nice little push here. JPM kind of lead the action to the upside. It's right on the VWAP. So we got the opportunity here. It's going to be more about the Qs. Does it go down or does it come back up here? Does the SPY work its way back up? I'm trying to let things play out right now. So I want to trade, but the truth is we got to take it easy right now. Vic, and I agree. Be careful on Tesla long. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I think you got to always just keep the risk in mind. As you can see, I wasn't letting it go through the low of the day today. That's why I got cut out on that first hit there. But just trying to play it, right? And trying to play it with an okay size, 100 shares, nothing too crazy. Here's the SPY trying to work its way back up. Q's right back to the upside. And now that could give the lift for these banks and different areas out there to keep pushing. So JPM looking interesting there. XLF back down to the 48.80s, could start getting the lift. It's back down to the hourly support. So if you like ETFs, this is actually looking interesting. Still has a little bit of ways. 48.60s is more the support on the hourly. So watching the action there, it's still pulling back, but XLF, some of these names are pretty strong today. Tesla just made the move back above that 280s. Now it's actually starting to make a bigger move here. So normally I would have been in, and I just got caught on that down move, right? It hasn't even been back to the 60s there. So that last undercut through the 277 really got me. But now it's back above the 280.50s, really starting to work its way back. Q's right back towards the top side. So if anything, the VIX probably taking the hit on the downside there and the pullback coming in here. Now we need to take a look to see what happens in the SPY. Does the SPY follow the action and start to rip above the VWAP, or does it just reject here around the VWAP and comes back to the 586? So today's definitely one of those days where I'm just looking around a lot, not trading too much. I'm only taking one trade in the open market, but looking to take some more trades. It's just going to be more a matter if I get the setups and the right setups here. Boeing down to 147. Boeing was at like 154, 160 just yesterday. When they announced that they closed their deal there, it's down to 147.20s. Doesn't look good by any means. That's dropping fast. GE up there to 180s, so that got a little bounce there. How's Deere doing? Ooh, Cat got a lot of support mentioned, of course, by Trump, and that's driving Cat higher. I like Pakar. You guys remember I was trading the swing trade on Pakar through the 100. Talked about how 104 seemed to make sense on the pullback. It got higher than 115 today. And that was in the kind of the opening market, really kind of pushed higher. It went up there towards what? Got up there to 117.80s there. So big lift off there. Let's see if the market overall can rally back here. I wouldn't mind playing Pakar if I could see a rally in the SPY. I just need to see the rally in the SPY. That's where it's getting hard right now. So this is a nice little setup, but need to see the SPY, of course, start working its way back. All right, there's Pakar already getting ready to go here off that 114. Looks pretty interesting here. So I'd have to risk off the kind of like the 113.77s right now. You can see how the MACD is trying to hold this little pullback and then start to go higher there. So it looks pretty decent just to start it off. My biggest thing is the SPY. Can the SPY go back to the upside? Can the XLI show me a breakout, right? So another way to trade this would be to trade off the VWAP for the XLI. That's one thing that I'm looking at. All right, what's going on out there? Tesla, Mitch, you got me. To tell you the truth, I didn't get you, Wisdom. We both lost. We got caught. That's that volatility that got us. I'm used to trading one Forex pair. How do you stay on top of so many symbols with so many to look at? Well, the truth is right now, I'm doing an overall view for everyone watching too. If I was just trading my game would be focusing today on Tesla, would be focusing on like a trade like Pakar, maybe the Bitcoin names. And what I usually do is I got like 10 names where I'm looking at for my strategies to show themselves up, and then I can start taking the trade. So CleanSpark's an interesting one right now, because it came back to the 1150s, now starting to come right back up. We just need this to start really kind of not being a breakdown day, right? And the VIX coming back to the VWAP tells me that we got to just be watching here, right? Because we're getting back and forth action. Tesla up there towards 282, 281. So imagine if I would have got that at 280, right? Would have been at like 278.50s. The stock goes what? The stock goes $4 from there with 200 shares. That's an $800 winner. So just I want to put perspective on my, my loss there of 123. The profit could have been right there about $600 to $800. And that's the important thing, the kind of the risk to return that I'm trying to get at. SPY still trying to slowly stair step its way higher, but could take a quick sweep right back down. So I'm going to look to trade the VIX here back to the upside. As much as I'm kind of buying this upside move, I can also see it being a further breakdown here. And the VIX went down to 76. So that's where I want to risk off of here. All right, guys, just grabbed in there and grabbed 500 shares there on the VIX, 46.91s. Pull back into like the 80s. I can add here or an add above the 47.25s as we really start to push here. Looking to see if the SPY comes down here. If it starts to make that up move, that's going to tell me that I need to get out. Just got to be quick on this trade. Let it try to pop here, get back up there towards the 47.80s. If it does that, even with just shares alone, it's going to be a monster trade. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if the SPY starts to work back to the downside here. All right, guys, and you see me up 62, and even earlier on that Tesla trade, I was up like 130. The problem here is is that I'm not looking to make $100. I'm trying to make like 600 to 1,000 on the up game, and so that's where it gets a little harder, right? How can I have a setup as yours? Well, come hang out with me. Come hang out, man. I'll kind of work with you, and we can kind of work the setup or kind of things that you're looking at. You can definitely take a look at it. I think Bitcoin is one thing that I'll definitely be watching. I think Bitcoin could get to 100K. Definitely getting some risk here now back down here. So got to be careful here as we're getting a quick little pullback here in the VIX. And the reason why the Q's staying strong here. So we're getting a nice little rip back up. Let's see if it stays strong. Do we get the down action move here? Got to be careful here as the SPY starts to go back through the VWAP. One of the trades that I will be watching if I do get cut out here, which will be the car trade. All right, guys, could get hunted on this now as it starts to come back here. Yeah, here it is. I'm getting a little hunted here at the 65s. Probably going to get hit here in just a second. Now it comes right back off of that. Let's see what happens. Does the SPY reject the VWAP here? And that's really what I'm looking at. All right, going to have to risk down about 145 here. So I'm giving it a little room to the 62. The 62s will get me out, right? It's trying to get me out at the 65, so I gave it a little bit more room, 3 pennies more. It's not going to make too much of a difference on the total amount. Just looking to see what happens here if it starts to go back through the 47. We'll see what happens on the SPY. The SPY right now trying to make that up move, and then I can take a look to see if I just go long Pakar, right? So I'll see what happens here, which move breaks out, right? We got down 1, down 2, down 3. We could still have another pullback before this move happens. So I'll keep an eye on it. But Pakar looking good today. Deer, another one to keep watch, right? It's actually weak right now with all the strength that's in a lot of the farm and heavy construction names today. That's interesting to see. This could work its way right back on the hourly. Filled the gap and then starts to work its way back up. All right, going to the SPY here. Let's see what happens. Will the SPY just work on an hourly 9 EMA and start to work its way right back up here? And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a back and forth action today. So I think that we'll be looking to see if we really break out. That'd be like 590s, 595s, right? So here's that test there. SPY trying to make that move back to the upside here. I think that's what I'm really watching. The Qs are kind of more in that breakout above, trying to get back towards the 503s. That's going to really help Tesla as Tesla's back towards 281.90s, could get back towards the 285s. You could see the crossover eventually worked out. And the way that I talked about it, it's so important to see that description for kind of ads and situations like that. All right, getting that test right here. It's probably going to get stopped out, and it comes literally a penny away from stopping me out. It comes right off of it. So let's see what happens here in the SPY. Definitely getting a little bit of a shake, but if I do get cut out here, I still have an ability to trade one more time. I talk about it. That's strike two. Strike two. Now I got to watch to see what happens here. The SPY did start to slow down there, so it could have just been literally a cutout there. But like always, I try to stay measured on that cutout. It was just at the bottom there. Now starting to reverse back. Let's see if it starts to work its way back up here. And I think that right now you're definitely running into that chop kind of setups. So you got to continue to watch that to see what happens here. JPM, I talked about how it was back on that VWAP. Could it go right back up here? It was making that move higher. Now let's see if it continues through the 242. That could help the XLF recover. That's, of course, the financials. VIX now already getting the jump right back towards that 4680. So I could have just got cut out. And that happens sometimes, guys. Maybe just starting a little bit too big. But the truth is I'm trying to keep these losses in the range that's important to me. The risk to return is very vital. That's the only way you stay in the game. DJT still on the downside. That just doesn't want to come back today, and that tells us something, right? I'll be looking to see when this comes back, but right now it's not the time. SONN did go breaking through that 850 a little while ago and then made a move to 9, then came right back down and halted on the downside. Now it's making its move back up. What a shake in that SONN today. That's trying to come back today. That's been a fail. SGBX now starting to make a little bit of a move. Looking into some of these smaller names because right now, not timing the market well, so giving it time to play out. SGBX, looking at some different trades out there to see what's moving. The metal fabricator. Maybe it has to do with steel. Probably has to do with steel. Kind of like a cup and handle, trying to go back towards the 135. This is kind of like a scalping opportunity. It's nothing that I like to trade specifically on that scalp, but yeah, it's available there. All right, catching up with you guys in the chat. What's up out there, guys? How we doing? What are you guys looking at? Check out Trade the Pool, guys. That's what I'm using right here. Can you help us with a link to the platform that you're using? Yeah, I'll show you it right here. Here you go, guys. There's a link here for you. Like always, check it out. And one thing that you see me use, and then right now, of course, this is the main account, right? You see it down 283. Let's go to the limited account here. This is an account that we just opened up. So if you want to take a look into our accounts, take a look into it. Guys, we just opened this one up. It's a limited. It has a profit target of 1350, profit share of 70-30. You can see there, you only need to hold for 30 seconds. I mean, it's a lot better than the way we used to have it at that 1800. And on this account, not doing too bad, guys. I'm up like 807. So just trying to get there towards the funded stage. Let's see what happens if I can get it there. I'm looking at some smaller names today. Want to take another trade in this account, but the truth is I'm only going to take the trade if it's a nice setup, right? Like this was a really nice trade here, guys. One trade in 500, in 300, 309, 299, out 267. That was a monster trade earlier today. And that was in the pre-market. So look at that, 550 open. Yeah. That's a nice sweet spot in the morning. That's another thing that you can do on Trade the Pool that's really awesome is you can trade from 4 a.m. The limited account is Fuego. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, man. It gives you a good opportunity, really. Let's just be honest. And that's what we're all looking for. Nike, man. Let's go take a look. Nike pulling back after that 77 move. Let's go to the daily chart. This one was trying to fill the gap back to the upside, ran into a wall, now has come back down to the 75s. I think this has more to do with the concern that's in footwear overall. Let's take a look at Foot Locker to start taking a look into that. And you can see Foot Locker was just recently making a big lift and has been coming down. And the best of breed in that space is Deck. And that's the best in footwear right now. And that is even not getting like kind of the new love, getting a new drive. It's just hanging in there. And that tells me I'm on the sideline right now for footwear. Skechers also coming back down. Just doesn't look good right here. And whatever happened to Crocs? Out of favor, man. So footwear and accessories, to me, out of favor right now. Maybe this is a good Santa Claus trade later in the year. So I would keep these on watch for the Santa Claus rally. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Is there any tutorial on how to use the platform? I opened the demo account a few times ago, and the platform really gives me headaches, and I have some experience with other platforms. Yeah, it's a great question. And we are working on releasing a new kind of education towards this tutorials so you guys understand the platform. What I also recommend is anybody in here that wants to learn more about the platform, check out our Discord that we have. Our Discord, you can even ask questions on the platform. They're there to help you. We even have a channel for it. So definitely smash the like. That's what it's all about. Catching that question in the chat. I think it's a great question, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to know how to use the platform. Another thing that I recommend is stick around here, right? And using different ways, right? So like what I do here is I use a different charting service that I really like using. I still use the charts. You guys see me. I pulled it in. But the truth is I want to use tools that help me. So I'll use my charting, preferred charting, and I'll use the platform to run the execution through. So that's the order entry that you're seeing here, right? But I could just use the platform, right? There's a little bit of a mix. Another thing that I'd give you guys is on the platform, you could also go to the onboarding or the about space. That's going to be in your more area tab, and that can give you some more information so that you guys can keep pushing. Let's go to Clean Spark here. That's the one I want to kind of take a look at to see if we finally get the lift off here. I'm looking at the Qs. The Qs are trying. They're trying. And now they're starting to break to the upside. So Tesla looking pretty decent here. Wish I still had my piece, right? If I still had my piece, Tesla still looking really good. And we haven't crossed back over. So that tells me that I don't need to sell, right? If I cross back over, that could tell me as a sign, hey, we can sell here now, right? So I talked about it right here. Would we get that crossover to the upside? We got it. And that's why I like to use these as description more than the exit. It's just going to tell me, hey, the momentum's dying. That's all it's telling me, really. All right, let's keep it going. We got some other action to talk about. Let's go, guys. How do you get pre-market charts in TTP? Well, that's easy. What you want to do is you want to kind of right-click on the chart and make sure that your extended hours are selected. So you want to go into the view. Let me see. I'll try to walk you through this. Okay, so you want to go into time scale on your chart settings, and right here you can see show extended session. So that's what you'd want to make sure that you have selected so that you can see the action. All right, guys, that's what it's all about, trying to give you answers to your questions, guys. Take 2 trades using the correct risk management. That's it. Hey, that's it. Says Francisco. Hey, come on over, Francisco. Come take a trade. At the end of the day, still got the right risk management that I'm playing on here on my main account, but that's just is what it is right now. We'll see if we get this to go right back up through. Definitely got stop hunted a little bit on my kind of 276, 62 there. I think I got hit right on that right on that spot right there. So I was looking for this to come right back up there. It's still looking good on Tesla. Let's see if the overall market can really start to lift. Picard did good off that 1425. It's starting to work higher. It looks pretty decent here. Just need the SPY to kind of really kind of break through the high here. And it's looking good, like we're starting to drive. But of course, the way it's been right now, it's playing the range, right? So now you're up towards the top. Will we make a range move back to the downside? All things to think about. I mean, it's a lot of back and forth action today. DJT lower now towards 36, but there's been a couple of bottoming actions off of this 36 area, 35.77. We'll look to see if it starts to work its way back to the upside. But man, down hit there. How's the China trade? That's actually coming back some today. That's interesting. Deer trying to start working its back through the 406.92. Let's take a look at the XLE. Oil going higher. So XOM off of that 120 outlook earlier was a good outlook, getting up there towards the 121.50. We'll look to see if oil continues to move to the upside. Gush went through that 30.50, got all the way up there to 31. So good move there in Gush off of that push. Q starting to slow up a little bit here. We'll see if it just keeps breaking to the upside. It has been holding the 9 EMAs on the recent kind of pullbacks. You can see it here, pulled back there, pulled back there, pulled back there. So about 3 attempts to break down the 9 EMA holding right now. We'll look to see if we start to cut it through the 503 on any pullback. All right, guys, thinking about taking my last shot at the main account. Like I always say, I try to live on the strike 3 approach. Maybe it's my baseball days, guys, but 3 trades in the red and I'm done for the day. That's what I usually do. Q's pushing higher, guys. Q said, forget that 503 breakdown. I'm going for the 504 breakout. Tesla looking decent off of that 281 now, recovering that, starting to push higher. Didn't break down on the MACD. So that was a great trade. I missed it by a couple pennies, man. A couple pennies. Can't really be upset about that, right? Because the truth is, it was a good outlook. Just got caught on the bottom, man. Just got caught on the bottom. You guys can see it here on the chart. I'll show you guys the chart entry there. And definitely got in there. Wasn't a bad entry. Just got caught there at the 77 spot, right? So it went down there to 66, then recovered. Looking good here. We'll see what happens. Trying to hold in. But the Q's, nice push there. NVIDIA still hasn't gotten to the high of the day. Apple's doing a lot better than I expected. So Apple's doing a lot better than I expected today. We'll see what happens there. Now we're getting a little bit of a pullback. Was that just a fake out? We'll see what happens. I mean, VIX is trying to come back here. Now you're seeing the cross starting to show up here. I'd look at the 5-minute though. The 5-minute still looks pretty atrocious. Tesla on the 5-minute still holding well. Hasn't crossed over on the 5-minute. So we could still get a pullback to that 277. And then later in the day, get the actual big rip. Most charts flagging today. Good mention, Mohit. Do you only trade U.S. stocks, Mitch? If so, what time zone? So I do trade mainly U.S. stocks. I'm mainly going to trade of course, the New York Open, right? That's what I'm going to be trading. I will trade some ADRs, like some China names or things like that. But to tell you the truth, I mean, at the end of the day, I trade mainly the U.S. markets, U.S. common stocks, trade all different types. But yeah, that's what I mainly stick to. No deberías hablar porque no hablas inglés. So, nada más español, Edwin. Yo hablo español también. Clean Spark. Mohammed wants to take a look at it. Let's go looking at it. And I need Portuguese also? Oh, man. It's going to get real. All right, let's go trading. Let's go trading. There's so much to talk about. Q's now coming right back down. So let's see if we get some turnaround here, guys. I'm willing to take one more shot at the VXX. I usually do pretty good in the VIXY. Tesla coming back down there. We'll see if it starts to work its way back up, but it did come back towards the 280 spot. It's definitely a little bit of some volatility today, a little bit of that mixed noise. All right, guys, thinking about getting right back into this, taking another shot here. That's only one way to go about it in trading. You got to take shots. I'm taking another shot in the VXX here, going long on the VXX. We'll see if we're able to get the push back through. So the big thing is I need to see the Qs start to come back here. Now, of course, I did get a little bit of a MACD crossover. It's nothing that I'm really kind of jumping too much about the indicator. What I really need to start seeing is the Qs start to break down and the SPY break down. But it's that 503 that I'm looking at. If we bounce off of that 503, that's where we can hold. We went right back to it and we bounced off of it just a second ago here. So let's go to that. Let's go to a shorter time frame so I could show you got that little bounce here. So this is the level that I'm looking at right here. Back through the highs. Yeah, I get out. That's just what it is. So we'll see if we get some reversal action on the day. Back through that 504, and you're just continuing the upside action. All right, let's see if we can actually get a first action here in the Qs to break that 503. Now we're getting a little breakdown of that 503. There's a little bit more here now, guys. So looking to go ahead and add here and take a real shot here, guys. So let's see if I can get it now. Looking for that 4650s to break again here. And then I'm going to go long, bigger. I'm going to add here and take a bigger shot. All right, guys, just went long and just added to the position here a little bit. Now going to watch to see if it can hold that 503. You guys see it here in the bottom. I give it to you guys all, and that's the important thing too, for you guys to learn from me. So, vamos a ver, vamos a ganar hoy o vamos a perder. Vamos a ver. A little Spanish action. Let's go. All right, nice little pop on that first action here. Now we're starting to really move. I'm up about 160. Of course, I got 288 in the red. So at some point, I can take some green or at least secure some green. The way I'll do that is with the stop loss. Here's a nice little push to start it off here. Now we're going to be up close to 300 here. So 295. So really getting a nice little push on the first action here. Let's see if we can get up to above the 300, and then I can move the stop loss to at least bring us back to green if this trade comes back on us. But looking for that nice push out here. There's the Qs back towards 502.20s here. So good action on the first cut down. Now I'm up above that 300 here. In a second, I'm going to at least secure 200 and then just keep working its way higher with the stop loss. Essentially a trailing stop loss, but one that I'm manually controlling here. All right, here's that pullback where it can get me for the $200 here. Let's see if it gets me. Could pull back and get me out. I have it at 170 right now. I have it at the 65s. It's really, really close to getting me out here. I'm just trying to give it that opportunity here too. So I'm going to go back towards 100 here. Give it a little bit more room. Off that 46.56 is what I'm looking at right now. Still in the green here, but looking to push it here a little bit because I see that decline and I'm not seeing it come back to the 9 EMA. I'm going to put it here on the right-hand side so you guys can see it right on the chart. I know that you guys appreciate seeing the chart action right there. So here you guys have it. You guys see the position also on the bottom left. You can see the action there. You guys can see my stop loss place right here. Right, so I'm looking for the action to continue back through that 46.80s, but want to give it a chance here. Let's see what happens. Back through that 503, and I know I got to be careful. Getting a test here. Q's going lower, so I just canceled out that stop loss and not trying to show my hands here, but ready to get out if I need to. Now we're getting the action higher. Let's see if we can get this first spike, especially towards that 47. Once we get to that 47, we'll be looking really good. This is what I like to do also. Take a look at the profit, right? So if we're losing around 130, we got to be making around 400 on the way back. That's going to be back towards that 47. I do make about $600 to $800 a lot of the times on these trades. So looking to see if I can get the stop loss to continue trailing the action. That's what I'd like to do. All right, Q's continuing to move down, did not move back to the 9 EMA. That's looking good for me. Let's see if it takes the next leap here and keeps pushing long. All right, ready to take the trade off if I need to here. And I have the stop loss ready to go, but I'm holding it, essentially not letting it go here. There's that first action. Now we get this real breakout here, right? So now I can move it to 200, securing 200 in the profit right now, looking for it to push higher, but it could always bounce. And now what I want to do here is I want to give it the opportunity to go for the big breakout. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And you see me moving it sometimes here. I'm going to do that from time to time because it essentially gets it off the working order and back on, right? So here it comes to try to get me on the downside here. Could hit me. So I'm putting 170. If I did 200, it would probably already trigger. So here it comes. It could take me out there. Took me out. Stock coming back. I'm out. So green. Not as much green as I was looking for, but green, right? Now, of course, I'd want to go ahead and kind of hold on to this position for a bigger move. But the big thing is right now, the Qs haven't even made it to the VWAP. So if the Qs made it to the VWAP on that first action, I'd feel a little bit more confident that the stock's not going to come back to me. But at least there, we're bouncing back, all right? So we bounced back. We made some profit. Made some way to bounce back here. Of course, it's been a back and forth day. Now I'm just down 120, but I can get back into the trade and keep battling. What's an interesting one that's coming back up, guys? DJT. DJT starting to come back up. And of course, we know how day traders sometimes get stopped out on positions and then the market starts to bring it back. So watching this DJT trade off of this 35.77, that's going to be the area that I really looked at as an area that could hold today. Now I'm looking at the 5-minute as it's bouncing off of that to see if it tests 36 one more time. If it could test 36 one more time and hold that 36, I'd like the way it looks, right? So when you get this reversal, a lot of times a sweeping pattern back up above the 9, I'd look for pullbacks to the 9 to be that entry. All right, guys, what's going on out there, guys? You're the best. I like your Spanish. Let's go, Anderson. Vámonos. Smash it up. I'm going to need a translator. Who wants to be the translator? You guys can come on. Guys, go trade. There you have it. There was a trade. Nothing useful. Nothing. I love how someone can put that right after someone just put a lot of useful information. That's just how it is, man. You gotta laugh sometimes, man. To tell you the truth, man, I have fun with the chat. I love you guys out there. Smash it up. Hit those likes. Let's see if we can break 200 likes today, guys. That's really what I would hope to do today. So I'm going to take a second to take a look at how many likes we have. Can we break the 200 likes resistance? Who's going to break it for me? Smash it up there right now. Oh, we're at 270. That's what I like to see. Let's go. Let's break the 300 resistance. Break it. Break the 300 like resistance. We have a new Martine. Wisdom. I was actually talking to Martine on a different stream. Everyone was like, yay, Money Mitch. And then he was like, no, Money Mitch. It's how it is, man. It's how it is, guys. And Vic, they always have the choice to watch or not. The reason they're hating is because they like it. It's kind of this weird psychology thing. They have to watch because they hate it. Hi. That's like when people get mad at you on the road and you look back at them and you give them the 2 thumbs up. I like that approach a lot more in life, guys. All right, let's get back to the market. Let's take a look here. Qs started to tick down. Now they're continuing that tick down. They went back to the 9 EMA. So I'm looking at the VIX to maybe go back here, but I would have to keep it really tight here if I went back into the trade. So looking at the action, what I really am looking at is some of the bigger boys like Apple, like NVIDIA. How are those performing? And those are starting to cut down. That's what tells me that maybe we can keep going here on the VXX. But the VXX is still not above the VWAP. So I don't need to overreact right now, right? And that's the important thing too. So the 9 EMA can hold here. A nice 9 EMA recovery there. Qs still like chopping around. We could still get the chop where the Qs come right back up. So I'm just watching it right now. Q's trying to make another low there. The SPY came back there, and that's another thing that kind of happened, right? Right back to the topping action and kind of holds up there. How's the financials today? XLF trying to recover. Talked about how that would be an important outlook to see. JPM, though, recovered. We talked about that pullback. That was a nice flag. That was a nice flag. I saw someone in the chat mention there was flags today. That's a flag right there. DATS, we'll see if that comes back on the day. SONN. Will that maybe make a later in the day rip? I think I'm at this point where I might take a shot on this one in the limited account. But, of course, it's going to be a very small trade here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it right now to see if maybe I can get a small trade on this, maybe 100 shares, see if it really wants to go. Really 9 is where this could really start to pop. But I've been watching it all morning kind of build up here. So looks interesting here. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, 880 starting to go. This is the limited account, so I really need to be careful with this one. Don't want to ruin the day, so I'm going to make sure that I set a risk here, at least a risk profile. I'm going to risk towards the 830, which is $50 in risk here. Just dropping that risk right now. If it comes back and gets me at 830, let it hit me. Let it hit me. But if it wants to break out and go through the 9, go to 10, maybe even 12 today, I'll take a shot here, guys. I'll take a shot. This is the limited account where I have a 485 cushion on the day. But I don't want to ruin it because that's what I did yesterday. But I definitely will take a shot here. All right, guys. Holy moly, there's some spamming going on in the chat. Here, I'll give him a timeout. He gets to go in the corner. I'm not gonna ban him, but I'm gonna put him in the corner. Go to the corner. You're a bad boy. There you go. He's in timeout, man. Group hug for summer. Don't worry. I put him in the timeout corner. He can come back in 10 minutes if he wants to. If not, don't let the door hit you. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's have a great time. That's what we're here for. Good vibes all around. Because the truth is, some of us are going to win. Some of us are going to lose. We might as well have a good time doing it. All right, here's SONN taking a different trade here. Different style of trade, right? This is on the limited account, not the same main account that you guys were watching there. I'm seeing the Qs come back, and that's part of the chop that I could see out there today. So be careful with that chop. Now, DJT is holding the pullback right now, so that actually doesn't look too bad. I'm watching the action there to see if it comes back to the 36, and it held it, 36.06. So right now, I could take a trade off of that 37 if I wanted to kind of risk down to that 36, but it doesn't look too bad. It's starting to bottom out there in DJT. We'll see if it has a good day. It's not my favorite trade at all. Sun already cutting me back down towards that 830. So it gave the opportunity there. It hit 894. Could easily have gone through 9. So in this case, getting a little stop hunted right back down, so be it, right? At least keeping it in a managed way and saving the limited account for a swing. This is why. I'll show you guys why. Because I'm pretty close on this account and I don't want to ruin it, right? So that's the important thing there. I'll go ahead and I'll show you it. All right, so this has been my limited account, guys. So I'll show you guys it right from the trader area, and you guys can see it here, right on your screen. So there you guys have it. So getting close, guys, getting close, trying to get up there. I've been up here before around the 829. Of course, I only need to get to 1350. So the profit target is looking good, guys. We're more than halfway there. So I got to keep battling, got to keep trying to set up good trades here and trying to have success. The truth is, look at my success rate, 33%, yet I'm deep into the green. Why? Profit to loss ratio, setting up for the bigger win. And that's what I've been getting, right? So 1 to 4, essentially what? A 4 to 1. Some people call it 1 to 4. I call it 4 to 1 because to tell you the truth, I want to focus on the reward side more than the ratio, than the risk side. But yeah, that's the approach. And I talk about it, guys. 3 to 1, 4 to 1, those types of names. Would have liked to see Sun push past VWAP test 10. then hold above VWAP. Not a bad outlook, Angelo. And it wasn't a bad one. I think it was kind of one of those that I tried to jump the gun a little early and just tried to give myself a little room with a smaller size, looking for that quick spike. And then I could think about adding. That's the way I usually do it. Small, then go bigger. We'll see what happens on this one. But that was a really good trade today. So not trying to ruin that. Here's a down move in the market here. Now we're getting a real down move here, guys. So the VIX is going to be looking a lot better on that jump now as it starts to move to the 4680s. And I could still trade it here. So let's see if this is a fake out to the downside or we actually really start to lift off here. Now, one thing that's interesting is Tesla's actually pushing up on this action. So Tesla's actually looking good, guys. It did cross here and now cross back over. That's why you got to be looking at the bigger time frames also. So on the 5-minute, we just crossed over. So Tesla's still looking good there off of my bounce around the 277 level. It was a good outlook on the hourly retracement level. So I was looking for hourly retracements. It happened today in Tesla. That was a good opportunity. I just didn't execute it in the best way. That's the truth. All right, we'll see if we still get continued downside leak here. You can see we're back to the VWAP here. Will we break VWAP and go to the 500, or are we going to hold here and start to climb back? All things that can happen. And one thing I try to do often is not just look at the market in one direction. I try to tell you guys both directions, because the truth is, majority of the times, we have both available to us. XOM back there towards the 102s. We'll look to see if the financials continue holding on here, or will they start to break down? That's the trade that I like here, and I'll be looking at that because financials have been leading the upside today. JP Morgan is just ripping. So this just did a nice little VWAP test and then came back. Now went back above VWAP, then pulled back here. So let's see if we can get the move back up here on the XLF. And that could tell me to maybe take a look at some different banks out there, right? Citigroup, Goldman Sachs. That one looks a little bit higher than the others. Morgan Stanley holding on there. We'll see how these start to make the move. Hood making a nice move there. How's CleanSpark? There we go. Now CleanSpark is holding in on that 12. I really like CleanSpark, guys. The key is that I'm playing it way higher here, but it doesn't mean that it can't run today. I think we got to really keep an eye out on Bitcoin, and a lot of traders are going to be watching that. The 12 being really pesky right now on CleanSpark. Let's take a look at Mara and some other names in the space. Very similar charts right now. So pullbacks to the 18, holding on Mara, the 1750 support holding there. We'll see if it holds the 18 on the pullback and takes the leap to the upside. Q's now coming back to the 50140s. So the VIX still holding in there now to the VWAP. So maybe sold my VIX a little too short today, right? So just to put it in perspective, right? Holding that position, still looking good. But I did take the gains today. And a lot of times I try to take the gains, especially if I'm deeper into the red. If I'm green on the day, like I am on the other account, the main account, a lot of times I'll go and I'll risk that cushion. 47.05, nice spike there on the VIX. That says downside in the Qs. Down she goes towards the 501s. Could keep coming down here. I think we got to just take a look. SPY is weaker than other areas, so I'd be taking a look to see what's affecting that and what's dragging the SPY. Let's take a look to see what's on the downside big. Hasbro is just getting wrecked, guys. This is a trade I didn't expect to think about, but it has a lot of exposure to China. A lot of their toys built in China. It's taking a whopping on the downside today. And this is more of a Trump trade that is a little bit different, that you don't expect it to be. But yeah, it's taking a big hit. Let's see what else is taking a big hit there. Eli Lilly, big disaster there in healthcare as that takes a big hit there. The XLV is not going to be looking good. Oof. It was up big to start the day, and look at the destruction there, down to the 147. So healthcare, big hit on the downside. You traded Mattel? Forget about Hasbro. Mattel is similar, right? I mean, they're both made in China. Man, nice down action out the gates on that one. There's Tesla ripping, guys, back to 283.75. This was the one to play today. I just played it wrong. That's just simply what it is. If I would have been able to hold on to that 277, maybe risk down to the 275.78, another point, right? Hey, would still be in Tesla right now. So Tesla's looking pretty decent on the day and starting to recover the 285. Elon, you won big, man. You knew Trump would win. I have that feeling. At least Elon knows what he's doing. So big push there. We'll see if it goes to the 285. How's GM and Ford doing on this? They're doing all right. Nothing crazy. Q's starting to come back up here. A little part of me is thinking that we can just bounce here, right? And just kind of hold on. But I'm watching it. I'm trying to let it play out here. It's 10:55, 10:56, guys. In a second here, we're going to wrap it up. We usually go towards just about 11. So we'll see if this is going to hold in and then start to bounce back to the upside. It very much could. DJT back to 36. That could be a bet right there, right? And it could be a bet right off of that. We'll see if DJT starts to work higher. I'll tell you one thing. It's been destroyed today. So a little part of me does not feel like betting on DJT. It's just not doing anything. It's on the bearish side. If it turns, that's a push back through like 38s, then maybe it's something to look at. Right now, it doesn't look bueno. Tesla just pushing now, guys, almost 285. So definitely misjudged that one. Had the outlook, just misplayed the execution. That's starting to work back. I'm looking around to see what else is making moves in the market. Q's starting to work back here. Apple with a nice little pullback. We'll look to see if Nvidia goes higher. VIX starting to hit back down there. Q's getting a little bounce there off the 501. XLI, Pakar, how's Pakar doing there? 115 holding in right now. It's looking pretty decent still. Pakar going to be an interesting one, especially towards the later part of the day. I'll look to see if it pulls back to this 114.15. That's what makes more sense for me, is one more pullback and then eventually a rip higher. We'll see if we get it, a nice little cut down back towards the 114, then a push back through that 115. It could just push right here, but I see a little bit of a pullback. At least that's what I see. You guys out there, call your own shots. We'll see if the Qs can come right back up there. They're trying to get back towards the 502. There's DJT holding that 36 a little bit and starting to get the crossover. That's the only reason why I look at that, because of that type of play. But Q's now rejecting a little bit. We'll see if the Q's actually make the move higher. I think you're getting a little bit of chop, and I think that we're run right into that chop, right? VXX pulled back below the VWAP, now trying to show a little bit of some strength. So I think we got our last trade here, guys. It's going to be VXX here long, and then we'll see what happens. Oof, it already jumped a little bit too much for me. Let's see, can I get the 80 pullback? Trying to get this pullback to 4680s, maybe 4670. No pullback just yet. Threw out an order here to try to get in. Canceled for right now. I'm just watching the action on the market. Just trying to hold in on that 9 EMA. So this is like third or fourth test here. So a lot of times you can get a whipsaw off of this. So I'm looking to see right now which way the Qs go, and the Qs are trying to come back up towards the upside. If you look on the 15-minute, you're still holding in well on that 9 EMA. So it's kind of like one of those trades where you're kind of in the middle here. You can go both directions, back to 503, or it could go to 500 today. So definitely a little bit in the chop land. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, just took the shot there on the VXX, long on the VXX here. Final trade of the day. It's 11 o'clock. I'm going to extra time. I need you guys out there to do me a favor. Take a second. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and let me know that you guys appreciate me sticking around right here, showing you guys everything and how I'm approaching the day, showing you guys entries, exits, stop loss, how I go about my business. Like always, guys, smash the like, hit that subscribe. You'll see it go nice and bright when I say the word subscribe. So just hit that up and let's keep going. We're going to wrap it up here in just a second here, but not a bad day for me. And I'll keep battling. VIX in the green right now as the Qs go down to that 501. We'll look to see if it keeps going here, but doesn't look too bad. All right, can the Qs keep breaking down through the 501? Seeing that breakdown right now a little bit. Now we're getting a little bit more here. In a second, I'm going to take my real shot here of adding. That's towards the 47. I want to see a pop towards 47. Then I'll take the add and then really go for the win. But the thing will have to happen is the Qs can now have to remain below VWAP. Would like to see the Qs remain below VWAP there. So VWAP for me right now is 501.42. There's the push to the 46.95s. I'm going to go for the win here. Let's go for the bigger trade. Taking the shot there, guys. Just grabs. Now I have 1,000 shares, 46.88. Looking for the pop above 47 to move my break-even stop loss. Right now, risk is $95. All right, looks like my twins are calling me, guys. It looks like it's that time to get out of here, guys. I got to go ahead and get out of here. We'll look to see if it goes above the 47. I'm just going to put in the risk in just a second here. Qs are trying to break that 585, hold below the 501 spot. There's the 47, start to go. In a second here, I will be break even, stop. All right, there I am. I'm break even now, stop, and looking for the move to happen. And you guys can see it here. I'll show you it before I run out of here, guys. So here it is, the action there on the VIX here, right on the screen. And you guys can see the stop loss, break even now, $5 if I don't get it. And if it really starts to run, I can make a nice little gain today. So we'll see if we get that big run here. I'm going to just set up right now towards the top end. I don't expect it to get here, but as it gets towards, like, let's say 500 to 600, I can move the stop loss up and really try to cash. We'll see what happens today, guys. Not a bad day. Come back tomorrow if you want to see more action just like this. Smash the like always. Taking my money bag with me today. We'll see what happens. Good trade on DATS this morning. Going to keep getting after it. We'll see you guys back tomorrow. Smash the like.